Man front, we are live at SEC Football Media Days in the College Football Hall of Fame. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order, Molly Robinson. Man, I am refreshed. I'm ready to go after spending almost a week down at the beach with Mike Griffith's wonderful beach house. Hope to catch up with him.
How did that go? Everything good? Did you get the security deposit back?
It was fantastic. We didn't tear the place down, so that was a major accomplishment for my group.
Well, no, some people would say that if you tear the place down, that means you had a great time.
It was a wonderful time, just like we're having a wonderful time here in the hot city of Atlanta, Georgia. If you listen to Conrad and Damien this morning, they were kind of talking about the interesting dichotomy that was the crowd that we experienced yesterday as we were getting into the Omni Hotel, checking in for SEC Football Media Days. For those that were unaware, you had a Beyonce concert going on at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Beehive was stirring.
Yes, and then right next door at Phillips Arena, home of the Atlanta Hawks, there was a WWE. So if you can imagine those two fan bases, like oil and water. Is that a good way to point that out?
Yeah, if we're going to paint with a broad brush, yeah, it was. That would be like having. Yeah, I probably don't need to go down that road. But, yeah, it was oil and water.
Yeah, it was interesting because you and I got kind of caught up in that traffic malaise around the different stadiums. And then once we got in here and ventured our way to a premiere last night.
Yes.
Nothing but a winner.
We were there. You look great in tails, by the way.
Well, I appreciate that very much. The red carpet was thrown out for us, and we appreciate that. But we're here to talk football, and we wasted about 50 minutes of our lives this morning listening to Greg Sankey. I was unimpressed. Not that I thought that he was going to come and just lay the smack down on the Big Ten or anybody else, but there really wasn't any kind of news outside of a little bit of a blurb towards Brett Yormark and the 5'11 concept and something that Brett Yormark had said at Big 12 Media Days. I thought it was a very tame explanation from Greg Sankey.
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot more substance and juicier things that he has offered with his opening remarks in the past, Pat. But maybe we should have known when, and nothing that's wrong with it, but he kind of led off his comments talking about that there was going to be the return of SEC volleyball just up the road. It would be returning here for the first time in however many years. And yeah, not a whole lot there, but most of the conversation we've been talking about for months, even some of the conversations now for a couple of years, maybe the commissioners didn't have much more to offer.
Yeah, and he pointed out that it's not only his responsibility to work with the Big Ten in regards to the conversation about the college football playoff, but it's also the responsibility of the SEC to work with all 32 conferences, in regards to what needs to happen moving forward with the CFP. So not a lot of news on that front. Brian Kelly from LSU, he is currently at the podium. I'm sure there's going to be some questions about some of the things that he said in Destin in regards to wanting to play the Big Ten in a cross-type schedule. Nothing new on the SEC 8 or 9 game conference schedule. Sankey basically says that once we can come up with that decision, then the CFP format that we want to go to, that will fall in line afterwards.
Yeah, Conrad and I were sitting there, and as he was up there and making his remarks, they have the LSU schedule, and they have all the teams scheduled that's there on the graphic. And just going back through the LSU schedule, and you look at how much that they've gained through the transfer portal and what they have coming back, and Garrett Nussmeier, I told Conrad, I said there's no excuse for them to be any less than 10-2. It's a very favorable schedule.
And if you heard Brian Kelly when he was talking with some of the media earlier, he said that they have actually put the Clemson logo on a lot of their weight room equipment and the number 1-0. So they have the Clemson mark and 1-0 because that's their goal, is to win the season opener, because that's something they haven't done under him. So they're using it as motivation.
Well, I would say if they get that first one against Clemson, that will go a long way in regards to kind of simmering down the fan base and hoping to relive some magic times of Joe Burrow and some other times when LSU found themselves talking about a potential national championship. So much to get into. Gary Stoken from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. He is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Coming up at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock in Birmingham, we'll have Eevee Vanpelt from the Rebel Walk. She was front and center this morning listening to Commissioner Sankey. Today is Ole Miss Day. She's going to have an opportunity to kind of sit down and chit-chat with Lane Kiffin a little bit later this afternoon. Also, Matt Moscona from LSU land. Yes, that Matt Moscona, who loves to come on our show and drop some Molotov cocktails. He will be on the program coming up at 12 noon. So a lot to get into, and we'll kind of go in and out of coverage of what's happening downstairs. Shane Beamer's here. Clark Lee. We saw Clark Lee, at 6 o'clock this morning?
Yeah.
He was wandering
He was
around.
the first one here, yeah.
He's an early riser. We always see Clark Lee before the event starts. He likes to, I think, kind of fill out the room, get his sight lines.
It was good to see that Clark Lee wasn't wearing a sweatsuit this year.
Yeah.
Because normally he's,
That's what a new contract, a little bit of success, and a quarterback named Diego Pavia will get you,
He's got
Pat.
that swagger.
Now, we do have a little bit of news about Diego Pavia because we were told by a very good source that Diego Pavia is not doing any interviews up here. Now, how can that be the case? He is someone that has resurrected that football program, who is going to be mentioned as a dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate from Vanderbilt University, and you mean to tell me that you're not making him available for interviews?
Maybe it goes back to one of the podcasts that he joined earlier in the, I wouldn't say the month or last month, but they want to kind of simmer that down and hope that some people forget it. But we remember the $4 million comment.
We do. But, in my lifetime, this is maybe the most in demand that a Vanderbilt player would be in this type of situation, or certainly in the last decade or so, and you're not going to make them it just seems like a little bit of a miss there.
There have been years to the I would venture to guess a lot of the folks that we're surrounded by, when you looked at the list of their attendees, you would have to do a deep dive just to figure out who that guy was.
Correct.
That is not the case with Diego Pavia. But here's the good news, guys. There's a good chance that Diego Pavia is going to play another 3 years of college football, and by then maybe,
we'll get to talk to him next
they pull
year.
the restraints off of him and they let him go and have full reign here on the second level.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because even Greg Sankey in his comments kind of took a veiled shot at players that are playing in their mid-20s now. Not only in football. Most of Auburn's basketball roster was,
yeah,
they could rent a car.
age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They had already been kicked off their parents' insurance.
That's right.
And if you're a parent like I am, that magic number is 26. Once they get 26, you're off everybody's health insurance.
It's a great age for the parents.
Yeah,
terrible age for the children.
Yeah, got to find something else.
Mm-hmm.
But we are here, and we'd love to hear from you on the Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. We are going to be bouncing all over the place, giving you wall-to-wall coverage of what's going on here at Atlanta. Landrum, you and I have been to a lot of these. What kind of buzz are you hearing? What are you feeling this year? Anything yet?
I haven't been able to really pick up on anything yet. Yeah, see a lot of the folks that we're accustomed to seeing, but really nothing that's jumping out. I will say this, and this has nothing to do with football or the football season, but I am very, very pleased that this is the first time we've had a setup where restroom is 20 yards away.
Yeah, that's big for you.
And snack break and meal room is about 15 yards away.
You are just in hog heaven. And, of course, I'm in hog heaven because there's how many helmets in front of me?
That would be 960 according to my quick math.
960 football helmets.
Yeah, they go 24 rows down and 40 across.
So you think my collection is
And they just put up a display of Landrum's player for him since they knew that his favorite player.
Yep,
Travis
Travis
Hunter would be right here.
That is a clean helmet, my friends.
Yep, we are set up right behind the Travis Hunter jersey, and I like that Colorado Buffalo helmet, though. I have to ask Gary.
Travis Hunter, one of the best college football players we've ever seen.
Ever?
You played an elite level on both sides of the ball.
That's saying a lot.
It is saying a lot. Jaguars agree with me.
Yeah. So we got LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vandy. Those are the teams today. Tomorrow is going to be an absolute wall-to-wall fiesta. It is going to be crazy in regards to Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas.
I told Conrad, I said, when you look at the schedule of the teams that are here, that one tomorrow, that stands the test of time. Mm-hmm. Now today with South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Ole Miss and the recency and the success that they've had, that certainly stands up. Thursday, maybe not so much.
No, I guess Texas A&M kind of main draw on Thursday, but they're the last team that's going to go this week. And I mean, come on, it's Texas A&M. Let's be honest. But yeah, no, I mean, tomorrow is going to be absolutely fantastic. Wednesday, of course, is when you're going to get Alabama, DeBoer, and all of those that contingent. But tomorrow is going to be absolutely jam-packed, and we'll just see if Sark and Arch Manning walk around like they own the place like they did last year in Dallas.
Have we seen the Merry Milkmen? Were they here in town for the Beyonce concert?
That would have been a good opportunity for them to be a part of that.
I bet a couple of them made the trip.
Yeah, there's no question. In regards to a little bit of news that came out of the Athens Banner Herald this morning, not that this is going to be any big surprise, but Will Muschamp is no longer a member of the University of Georgia coaching staff. It appears that he is now going to spend more time around his family. You know, his son Whit is a redshirt freshman quarterback for the Vanderbilt Commodores.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yep. He has been on Kirby's staff since 2021. He had a 5-year run as the head coach at South Carolina. He originally joined the staff as an analyst, but he stepped up to be special teams coordinator after Scott Cochran had to take a leave of absence at the University of Georgia. So he spent 22 and 23 as the co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach. And then he stepped back to an analyst role in 2024. So he's had a lot of different hats. Obviously, him and Kirby, very close friends. So once that ceased to exist in Columbia, South Carolina, he was given the opportunity to come to Athens and hang out with Kirby.
And look, if he sees one of the last opportunities to really to watch his son be a part of that experience and go and do it, then I commend him for it. And you're not going to get those years back. Also, if Clark Lee needed any wisdom in any certain area, I think that he could probably bend the ear a little bit and get some of that insight from Will Muschamp.
I just like to imagine, they're at the dinner and it's like, all right, son, so how was practice? Good. How was practice? Good. Like, because they can't, they're like, we can't tell you anything.
Right.
Can't talk about it. Like, yeah, it was good. That was it. And maybe because I guess you don't get that a lot. We know a lot of coaches that will have their kid play for them, or they'll be, like Ty Simpson's, whatever, his dad's a coach, right? But it's not in the SEC, and so that dynamic, you don't get that a lot, where you have dad's an SEC coach and son plays for a different school in the SEC. I could see that being interesting.
So one of the teams that is here today is Shane Beamer and the University of South Carolina. That is a team that a lot of people are going to put Lenore Sellers as a Heisman Trophy candidate, going to put him up to potentially be the SEC Player of the Year. Well, just a couple moments ago, Shane Beamer talking to the media, he was complimenting former Alabama head coach Mike Shula. If you remember now, he is on the staff there, offensive coordinator for the University of South Carolina. And he says because of Mike Shula's coaching ability with the Carolina Panthers, coaching Cam Newton, he believes that experience working with Cam is going to pay big-time dividends for Lenore Sellers.
Well, if he has the kind of output that Cam did in his one and only season in 2010 at Auburn, then Katie bar the door. It's going to be a fun year at South Kakalaki.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously with his build and the kind of player he is, Cam would be a great person to work out with. But, yeah, I mean, when you start thinking of what the potential of a guy like Lenore Sellers is, I think that's what makes us so excited for a lot of these quarterbacks, right? Him, DJ Lagway, some of these younger guys, is we saw how good they were as a freshman in the SEC or their first year playing football in the SEC, and now you're like, man, how good can you really be? So, high praise.
If I say who is the most exciting quarterback in the SEC, exciting.
I think Lagway.
You think Lagway over Sellers?
Yeah, he makes crazy throws.
See, I'd go Sellers for me.
No, it's interesting. And then you have the Garrett Nussmeyers of the world, and if you wanna go Arch Manning in that regard,
got options.
Yeah, you got options. It's an interesting year as far as quarterbacks in the league. And
I
then
think
you got John Mateer coming in. Don't forget about him.
I think Austin Simmons, based on that one drive we saw against Georgia, that was impressive. So now can he sustain that? I think that might be someone that
he could be special.
Yeah. So we'll see what he has to say today. He will be here at SEC Football Media Days. Well, it's hot and humid outside, Molly, and, man, I would love to have a Trane air conditioner right here on me right now here at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we know that Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. You can keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, And they're the official clothing partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com.
When we come back live from the College Football Hall of Fame, we will continue the conversation of what's going on today, day one. This is a 4-day event. We'll be here all week long, wall-to-wall coverage here on Jox. This is Three Man Front. We're live at SEC Football Media Days. Pat Landrum, Conrad, Molly, wall-to-wall coverage here on Jox. Appreciate you tuning us in. I know we're talking a lot of football, but we are in the town in which the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is going to take place. That will take place tomorrow night. We've got the Home Run Derby later tonight, but I do want to throw out some local connections on last night's Major League Baseball Amateur Draft. Major kudos to some Hewitt-Trustful former baseball players. And last night in the Major League Baseball draft, how about this? Steele Hall, who reclassified. He should be graduating high school next year, Landrum. He reclassified as a junior. He's the starting shortstop for the Hewitt-Trustful Huskies. He found himself as Mr. Baseball in the state of Alabama, and he was selected as a top 10 pick, number 9. He was the 9th player selected last night by the Cincinnati Reds. He's entitled to a signing bonus in excess of $6 million, according to Major League Baseball's draft pick slot value system. He was the 5th shortstop taken in the first 9 picks of the draft last night. So if you were a shortstop, they really, really love that talent. Now, Auburn catcher outfielder Ike Irish, he went number 19 to the Baltimore Orioles. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Twins took former Hewitt-Trussville pitcher, current Alabama pitcher Riley Quick, number 36 to the Minnesota Twins. Since Major League Baseball instituted the one-draft system back in 1987, Quick is the 3rd earliest pitching selection from the Crimson Tide. The New York Yankees chose Ben Hess at number 26 in last year's draft. Florida Marlins picked Taylor Tankersley at number 27 back in 2004. So it was a very successful night last night. Still Hall, Ike Irish, and Riley Quick going the first top 36
Yeah,
picks.
congratulations to all those guys, and big tip of the cap to all of their families, because that was a lot of long weekends, long drives, and a whole lot of baseball in preparation for that moment, and well-deserved, and go and enjoy not only your career but some of that money that's going to be coming in from MLB.
Yep, the Braves lose yesterday to the Cardinals 5-4, so we salvage one game of the 3-game series. The Braves won the first 2 heading into the All-Star break. So any thought, Landrum, taking 2 out of 3? Had a situation there in Sacramento, didn't perform quite as well as you did in St. Louis. Does this change your mindset going into the All-Star break on what the Braves should or should not do?
Absolutely not. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot out of the Braves. I guess maybe the Wentz guy that they picked up off of waivers, the lefty that actually had a strong performance against the Cardinals in that bullpen game. Yeah, Aaron Bummer, I wish he would just go ahead and find another team, or they would find another place for him. But, no, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot for the Braves. I think the most meaningful baseball will be played, again, tomorrow night for the All-Star game inside of Truist for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was reading some baseball insider information while I was down at the beach, and the general feeling as of this moment are now the Braves can be wowed by maybe Sean Murphy potentially trading him, but for the most part it sounds like the Braves, will write this off as just a bad season and not looking to basically try to reset the whole organization based on this one season.
No, you got to look long-term health, though. Where are your pitchers? And some of the guys with the injuries, where swelling got back going to be A.J. Smith-Shawver, Ray Lopez. Has anybody heard from him? And then as far as maybe some of your position players, are you going to try to go out and spend for a shortstop? No offense to Nick Allen and what he's been able to do this year, some of those other guys.
Well, I do understand that last night, I don't have their names in front of us, but it's a situation where I think the Braves went heavy shortstop in last night's amateur draft.
Probably a good idea.
I think they did. But we can we can talk about that as well. Gary Stoken, the CEO from the Peach Bowl, he is going to join us in just a couple of minutes as we'll talk to him about this crazy world of college football and the way the scheduling now works and the way things happen. And in regards to the landscape, Landrum, what's going to happen moving forward in regards to bowl games?
Well, it's everybody that's involved with college football. Everybody's had to kind of shift their focus in the way of doing things because it's a domino effect, and there's that cause and effect and what happens there. And Gary Stoken's going to join us momentarily here from SEC Media Days 2025 inside of the beautiful College Football Hall of Fame, as a lot of memories, a lot of history, a lot of great history encased in glass. I'm just wondering, do they have to dust inside of those things? Is there a way to remove that as Gary Stoken sits down with us now?
Gary Stoken, who's been on this program for many, many years. He's the CEO and president of the Peach Bowl here in Atlanta, Georgia. He joins us here on Three-Man Front, Jox in Birmingham. Gary, how you been? Great to see you.
Well, I'm very blessed and glad to have you guys in Atlanta. I get a home game where I can sleep in my own bed. I know you guys had to go on the road, but
2 hours, not too bad.
It's good to have you here. And you mentioned about cleaning inside these. This is something near and dear to my heart as I sit here because it's relevant for you guys, because I remember going to South Bend, Indiana, where the College Football Hall of Fame was located, and walked through with Mel Moore. And Mel was an assistant at Notre Dame,
yep.
obviously assistant under Bear, and played for Bear. And Mel said, walk through here, and there's not one thing with Bear Bryant in this Hall of Fame. I said, you're right, Mel. I said, if this were in Atlanta, this would go gangbusters. And from that day, which was 2002, I started the process of meeting with Steve Hatchell, Bob Cassiola then, and then Steve Hatchell with the idea to make Atlanta the capital of college football. We were going to move the College Football Hall of Fame here. Fast forward to 2010, I started a company called Atlanta Hall Management, which the organization that runs this building. I signed on to become CEO and president and signed a 30-year license to move the College Football Hall of Fame here. And we opened in 2014. So this is, I could tell you about every nook and cranny in this place because I stood here when this was a parking lot and negotiated with the governor to get this space, which is state property, to negotiate the parking deck with the governor, which he put in the budget in 2008, which if you remember, that was the bad financial crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Governor Perdue, who played college football at Georgia, was a huge help. As a matter of fact, we flew down to Dallas, where National Football Foundation located. Gosh, this was, 2007 or whatever it was. And I told Governor Perdue, I need you to go down with me. I'm flying and presenting to their board about moving the Hall of Fame to Atlanta. He says, Gary, I get a few days off every year. I'm going hunting in South Georgia. I said, Governor, I need you. He said, okay. We flew down, stayed in the Gaylord Hotel in Dallas. Went the next day, 40-person board. Made our presentation. They voted 39-1 to move to Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
I think Jerry Jones in Dallas was the only one that voted against it because he wanted to move it to Dallas.
Ah, there you go.
And so all the site, the design, the architecture, this roof, we weren't supposed to have a roof on it in the original design. That roof cost us $2 million.
Jeepers.
So this place has a near and dear to my heart. They put a plaque on me downstairs to commemorate it. But, yeah, this is my baby right here.
I did some quick math, Gary. The helmets that are up there, I counted 24 down by 40 across. Is it 960 helmets?
I don't know the number.
Okay.
Because it changes. But it's every school that plays intercollegiate college football has a helmet up there.
It's really cool.
And when you register, your helmet will light up. So if you're an Auburn or Alabama grad and you register, they'll light up your helmet. So you can look up there, and where there's a red light on the helmet, there's a graduate of every one of those schools in the Hall of Fame at that time.
Gary Stoken joins us from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the College Football Hall of Fame. We're going to get into an extended conversation with him in just a few moments in regards to the future of college football, because, Gary, you and I go way back, and I remember when Nick Saban, and you had a great relationship with Coach Saban, and you were able to talk him into bringing Alabama over here, and that was always the premier event in the early part of the kickoff games that you would have here. Just kind of talk about how you were able to convince Nick Saban how important that was and how that kind of springboarded those Alabama teams to all that great national championship
run. Yeah, it's a great point. And go back to 2000, my second year as CEO of the bowl game here in Atlanta. Nick was at LSU, and they were 8-4, first time and only time I've ever gotten a call from a coach to play in the Peach Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. He said, we're 8-4, trying to build a program at LSU, need to come to your game. It's the best game we can get to. I flew down, met with him, met with Chancellor Emmert, Mark Emmert was the chancellor at LSU, Charlie Weems, their chairman of the board, and had a good meeting, came back. And my job at the time, I was in my second year, was to pick the teams. So I selected Georgia Tech, who was ranked 12th, and went to my board and said, we're going to take LSU. And they said, no, we're not. I said, no, we're going to take it. No, we don't want them. I said, why? They said, well, we had Jerry DiNardo in 96 with LSU. They didn't sell any tickets. They lost to Clemson. They didn't promote the game. I said, well, things have changed. I met with the coach, the chancellor, chairman of the board. They're going to do all this stuff. And they said, we still don't want them. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll put my job on the line. It was in my second year. I said, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, you can fire me. And so I remember Terry Saban. I called Nick at home, and Terry Saban answered. please tell me we're coming to Atlanta. Please tell me we're coming to Atlanta. Please tell me. I said, well, pack your bags, sister. You're coming to Atlanta.
Wow.
And she let out a woo-hoo, and they came up. The first day of ticket sales, I still remember, LSU sold 16,421 tickets. Still remember.
Wow.
They came up. Rohan Davey came in the second half, relieved Josh Booty, hit Josh Reed in the back of the end zone. They won 28-14. I go back on campus a month later, as I've done for 27 years, to meet with our client, our customer, to see what we did good and what we need to improve on. So we're always in continual improvement. And Nick said, Gary, every one of our recruits that were playing in the Houston Under Armour All-American game saw that game and signed with us. And that was Marcus Spears and those guys that won the national championship in 2003. So fast forward to 2006, Nick's first year, he goes 7-6, beats Louisiana Monroe, I think, to finish 7-6. He's in his second year, and I said, I'm starting this kickoff game format. I got Clemson, who's going to be number 9 in the country with Spiller and that crew. And Nick said, I'd love to play. You were good to me at LSU. You're starting something. I was starting something down there. You know, I'll come over and play. And he said, because if I come over and play and we can finish second to Georgia in recruiting for Georgia recruits, we'll win the national championship. They come over, they beat Clemson 34-10. Front of Sports Illustrated, Alabama's back. And Nick would tell you, if he was sitting here, that was the start of Alabama's run. Because the next year I brought him back. He was number 5. Virginia Tech was number 7, Frank Beamer. Alabama beats Virginia Tech in 09, wins the national championship. And on their roster, they had 19 kids from Georgia. And so, you know, that was the start of the Alabama run. And, you know, Nick saw that, number one, playing in a game like this, first game, tough game, your kids in the offseason, their workouts go to a whole new level.
Yep.
They know they're playing on a big stage against tough competition. Number two, as Nick told me, and I've learned from Frank Beamer and Kirby and Dabo, kids want to play on the biggest stage against the biggest opponent. And Coach will tell you, you improve most your first game to your second game because you have live film. And if you have live film against good competition, the kid will understand and you can coach them up better and you can coach your team up better. Because they play against a directional school, they're going to wipe them out. Yeah. You're not going to have any film that's worth anything because the kid's going to dominate the other kid. Where in our game, he's playing against someone that's all conference or maybe an NFL player, right? So you can prove week 1 to week 2. And then in a CFP era, our game has become a major differentiation point for the CFP selection committee.
That is Gary Stoken. If we can hold you just for
Sure.
a minute or two, we will continue this great conversation with Gary Stoken from the Peach Bowl, the College Football Hall of Fame. This is Three Man Front live from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. We're continuing our conversation here on Three Man Front on Jox across the great state of Alabama with Gary Stoken, the CEO of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, also the College Football Hall of Fame. You were wrapping up your conversation in regards to about Bama being a part of this game over here, kicking off every year with Nick Saban.
Right. I just wanted to finish that the differentiation point in the CFP, when there's a 14 playoff in 2017, Alabama played Florida State. We call it the GOAT game, number 1 against number 3 in our Chick-fil-A kickoff game at the time. Alabama wins, does not win the SEC that year, and the CFP selection committee put Alabama in number 4 in the playoff, and Alabama wound up winning the national championship. So without them playing in our game, they don't get in the playoff because they didn't win the SEC, and they wouldn't have had the strength of schedule without playing in our game. So our game has become very meaningful, and it's changed the face of college football because now you see Texas playing Ohio State, Notre Dame playing Texas A&M first week, Clemson playing LSU. So before, where it was non-directional schools, bad attendance, bad viewership numbers, now we have sellouts, we have huge viewership. Typically the first week games you watch this year, first week games will carry into about week 10 being top 10 in viewership.
Yep.
That's what's amazing because people are starving for college football. So they can't wait to watch these games, the first game of the year.
Yeah.
I guess it's safe to say, though, Gary, and you guys, for the point of what you do on an annual basis, you've learned to be flexible. And how much has that adjusted maybe some of the planning and the things that go into it?
Well, we've always had the dream of becoming the capital of college football. So it's strategic to move this here, number 1. Secondly, to start the kickoff game format. Thirdly, to get into the CFP. And now, if you look within 1 calendar year, basically, we will have hosted the CFP quarterfinal with Arizona State, Texas this past year, the national championship game, and the national semifinal CFP game this year. So within 1 year, we've had all 3 CFP games, quarter, national championship, and semi. So, and then having the kickoff game, and then having the SEC championship here. I mean, that was the strategy because Atlanta just is built for big events. We have a great stadium, huge number 1, number 2 alumni bases of all the ACC and SEC schools live in Metro Atlanta. Easy transportation to get here. Great hotels and places to see and eat and drink. So we're built for this. And so it was just a matter, you have all these ingredients, putting them in the right recipe to make Atlanta the capital of college football.
Just a couple more moments. I got to ask you this question before we let you go because you've got a very interesting doubleheader set up this year. You got 2 SEC teams. You got Tennessee versus Syracuse. You've got South Carolina against Virginia Tech. So tell us about the mindset and how it went about getting those 2 SEC teams involved.
Yeah, we had so much success as the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, not in the CFP, of ACC versus SEC. We had sold out 18 straight years. So when we moved into the CFP, knowing we were going to get more national schools, we took that formula of ACC and SEC and moved it forward into the kickoff game format. Now, we've gone outside and got Oregon to play Georgia, so we'll do that. But typically we've stayed ACC, SEC. Most ACC and SEC ADs are contacting us now wanting to play. And so I told Steve Shaw of the NCAA officials this year, I said, we're going to have both teams play Tennessee, Syracuse in their orange jerseys. And he thought I was serious. I said, no. We're going to have a lot of orange in the stadium, but we'll put one of them in white. But, yeah, Tennessee, Syracuse, 2 teams that finished in the top 20 last year. Quarterback changes, obviously. Yep. It's part of the game now. And then Virginia Tech, South Carolina in the Beamer Bowl. I had dinner with Frank Beamer and Cheryl Beamer over at Lake Oconee 2 weeks ago, and Cheryl said, Gary, what are you doing to me? You got my son, and you got where we live and how we made our living all these years. But we're going to honor Frank and Cheryl before the game, and, I just think we got 2 great matchups. A little bit, interesting with the quarterback situations.
Yeah.
But we'll have 2 sellouts, and you know, those two games, our semifinal Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the SEC Championship, will be 4 of the top 5 conventions in the city of Atlanta, which is the 4th largest convention town in the United States behind Vegas, Chicago, and Orlando. So that's how important college football is to Atlanta. 4 of the top 5 conventions on an annual basis are college football games.
Well, listen, Gary, it is always fantastic to catch up with you.
Well, thanks. You guys are always nice to have me.
Well, listen, thank you for all you do for college football. And this facility, the games, is just goes without saying, so important to have you a part of college football, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys, and probably see you next year in Hoover on your home field.
Hey.
Are we breaking a little news here?
No, I don't know. I know nothing. Okay.
Gary, don't tease us.
Don't tease us. You know, we love the home games.
It's nice to.
We got spoiled.
I got a home
Gary.
game. It's nice to spend my night in my own hotel room.
We got spoiled.
You did.
Spoiled.
We got spoiled all those years.
Yeah,
And all of a
really.
sudden, they're flying to Dallas and Nashville.
Yeah.
Now, this wasn't bad till we got to Villarica, and then that was
We found some interesting
to
roads.
marry out there.
Yes, it is.
If you ever get stuck, go to the golf course there at
That's what
Villarica.
we should have done.
Yeah, we were
yesterday.
nowhere near the golf course, I can promise you.
Yeah, it was crazy. Gary,
Have a great college football season.
thank you, Gary.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Gary.
Come see us. All right, that's Gary Stoken, CEO of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and, of course, the Aflac kickoff game here in Atlanta. More three-man front here on Jox. Such a great conversation with Gary Stoken from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. One of the nicest people. Him and Bill Hancock. I've known those guys for a very long time.
Yep.
Just top-notch people. Great for the game of college football. And what that relationship that he told us about, how he and the Sabans became close friends. I mean, it was lock it down every single year. That was Alabama was going to play over here in regards to trying to get them to the national championship. That was their first stop here in Atlanta. Well, I was at the beach last week. I went by a lot of homes, and I could tell that they needed to call Abide Roofing, because Abide Roofing, they could help them out at 922-7134. Put a 205 in front of that. Go to their website, abideroof.com, because they tailor roofing solutions for every need. So if it's just a loose shingle or two, they can take care of that. If you need a full roof replacement like I did, they can take care of that as well. The team brings their A game every single time, whether it's just a couple of shingles or it's a whole new roof replacement. They're highly skilled pros. They work with precision and pride, delivering top-notch results on every single job. Safety first always, 25-plus years of trusted experience. Insurance claim masters. They helped me out with my insurance company when I got that full roof replacement. No-cost consultations and estimates, meaning free roof inspections. That's right. They're going to come, take a look at what's going on. If you got a problem, they can help you out. 205-922-7134. That's abideroof.com. We've got South Carolina's Mr. Beamer, right? Shane Beamer?
That would be Shane Beamer.
Yep, Shane Beamer. He is ready to rock and roll. He is standing at the podium now. Let's take a listen to what he has to say about this year's South Carolina Gamecocks.
Thank you, Commissioner Sankey. Great to be back here at SEC Media Day for my 5th season, and excited to be here for day one and kick off the week. I say it every year, and I'll never stop. I'm so grateful for the position that I'm in as a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference. This league is the standard across all of college athletics, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it as well. You see that every year on the field, and you see that every April in the NFL draft as well. Players want to play in this league. Coaches want to coach in this league. All you have to do is look at the Netflix special that I know is coming out later this year. They chose this league to showcase as well, and obviously had other conferences that would have loved to have been a part of it. They wanted us, and I think that speaks volumes about the power of this league. Thankful for Commissioner Sankey. Admired him from afar before I got into this conference and the role that I'm in right now, and admire him even more now that I've been in this league 5 years. Always will be grateful for his leadership back in 2020 that allowed us to have a college football season, and very glad that he is leading us in this new era of college athletics. And then thanks to all you for all you do to promote our game. I know you make a lot of sacrifices as well throughout the year, so grateful for you guys, and thanks to the SEC staff for putting on such a awesome event every single year when we come here to this as well. Real quickly before I get started on anything football wise, just wanted to send my prayers to the family of Joe Monmonier. Joe was the athletic director at Hilton Head High School in Hilton Head, South Carolina, that died last week tragically and unexpectedly. Has 2 beautiful daughters. Oldest daughter Ava just graduated from South Carolina in May, and as you can imagine, that family's going through a lot right now, and we're certainly thinking of them. South Carolina is a special state. It's a small state. It's a very close-knit state, and I know that Hilton Head High School community. I've been there for a football game on a Friday night, and it's a special community, and know they're hurting right now, so thankful for them. And I see the sign over there, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Bob Holt, because I know every year that I've been here at SEC Media Day, I could always count on him sitting right there in the front row, and certainly miss having him here. I was never a part of any team that he covered, but I know what he meant to the SEC, and certainly miss Bob as well. You guys will learn more about our players if you haven't already, but the three that are here with me today, Lenora Sellers, DQ Smith, and Nick Barrett, embody everything that we want our program to be about. They embody everything that college athletics is about, in my mind, in 2025. All had different stories, unique stories. None of them were your five-star recruit that everybody talks about that comes to the school and has a great career. These are all guys that weren't maybe as highly recruited as they should have been, but they've come to South Carolina, they've developed, and they are leaders on our team. Their voices matter on our team, and that's why they're here today. They love the University of South Carolina, and putting on a Gamecock uniform means something to them without a doubt. Nick Barrett is a North Carolina native. He was committed to the University of South Carolina when I got hired as the head coach. He stayed committed, and he came. He's unselfish. Last season would have been his last season, but he came to us early in the season and brought up the idea of redshirting, being able to play in 4 games. He knew we were loaded at defensive tackle last season and really wanted to maximize his last year at Carolina. And redshirted, we used him in select games last season. Now he's back, and he's a leader on that defensive line for us. He's a great example of what we're trying to do from a recruiting standpoint. Early in my tenure at South Carolina, we only had 1 player from the state of North Carolina on our team, and it was Nick. And that was ridiculous. To be a border state, so many players in the state of North Carolina that want to come across state lines and play SEC football, we knew we needed to attack the state of North Carolina harder in recruiting, and we absolutely have. Since then, guys that are on our team right now and guys that are committed to come play for us next season as well. Nick's doing right off the field. He's a 4-time SEC academic honor roll and just graduated in May. DQ Smith, Columbia, South Carolina native, high school quarterback. When people talk, or when we talk to high school prospects, they all say they want to be developed when they come to college. Well, DQ is a guy that has been developed. He came to South Carolina, wasn't highly recruited. I think we had to beat out Georgia Southern for him. He was a high school quarterback, came here by game 3. He was starting for us as a true freshman, high character guy, and has been a key player for us on defense and special teams. He'll graduate in December. And then obviously Lenora Sellers, returning captain as voted on by his teammates, our returning MVP as voted on by his teammates. Last season, he was playing as well as any quarterback in the nation the last month of the season, doing great off the field, has been on the dean's list twice, certainly currently doing an internship with contract construction in Columbia for his major as well. His best football is still in front of him. When you look at our team offensively, we offensively have a new offensive coordinator in Mike Shula. That was an easy decision for me to promote Mike to be the coordinator. He was a part of our program last year. He's literally been in the shoes that Lenoris is in as he was a starting quarterback in this conference, and he's been in the shoes that I'm in as a head football coach in this conference as well.
Good stuff there from South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer. Of course, Lenora Sellers, his quarterback, that is the guy that's going to be getting most of the attention, but he mentions DQ Smith and also Nick Barrett and kind of laying things out when it comes to recruiting. There's one thing about Shane Beamer, never at a loss for words, probably one of the more comfortable coaches when it comes to getting at the podium and talking about his team.
There's no doubt about it. That is Shane Beamer. We will continue to listen in. We've got Clark Lee coming to the podium, Lane Kiffin a little bit later. Matter of fact, speaking of Lane Kiffin, one of our favorite guests on this program, Eevee Vanpelt from the Rebel Walk. She joins us
First
next.
lady of the SIP.
That's right. She's on next. We'll talk to her about Lane Kiffin and the expectations for this Ole Miss Rebel team. That's next. We're live at SEC Media Days.
Welcome back in. It's three-man front, live from the College Football Hall of Fame. It's 2025 SEC Media Days. Landon Roberts, Pat Smith, Conrad Van Order. And our next guest, she joins us throughout not only the college football season, but year-round, and keeps us up to date. She's got her finger on the pulse of what's going on there in Oxford, Mississippi. I call her the First Lady of the SIP. It is Eevee.
I like that.
Vanpelt. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Can you put that on your business card now, on your Twitter
I
handle?
think if he said it, I can do it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, he's the expert.
So you've got kind of your powder blue
I got
there.
my powder blue. You noticed
You
that.
do.
That's
It's
awesome.
very
That's
subtle. It's not over the top Ole Miss.
It's not that bright powder blue, but
Yeah.
it's
It's not that
Ole Miss
maroon that you have to
person-
put up with in your house.
Oh, yeah. No, he's pretty good about not doing that.
Okay.
Is he?
Yeah.
Very,
Is he
very
excited about
wise.
the season?
I think he's more excited about seeing lefty Austin Simmons play for Lane Kiffin because David was a lefty quarterback.
Yep.
So he's pretty excited about that. I think he right now is like a lot of people and thinks A&M, the moniker Texas 8-4, is kind of appropriate over the last few years for the Aggies. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, Landrum and I, we were belly aching yesterday because from my driveway here, it's under 2 hours. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He drives really fast.
No,
Oh,
He doesn't.
okay.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
No.
He lives 6 hours away,
No,
but yeah,
no.
okay.
And so we got to about Villarica, and we had to take a detour because the Atlanta traffic hit us yesterday afternoon. But that is nothing. I cannot tell you the situation that you were in last night sitting on the tarmac in Houston, Texas, because you just brought up something I completely forgot. I can't tell you how many times that I was having to fly up to ESPN, and I would get a layover at Reagan in D.C., and then we would get on the tarmac in the middle of the summertime, and until those engines get going, there's no air in the airplane.
No.
And you're sitting there, and you're sweating. It's nasty. You're irritated. You can't see what's going on. How long did you sit there in Houston last night on the tarmac?
We were there on the tarmac at least an hour, and I'm one of those OCD people. Like, I have to be at the airport 2 hours ahead of time, like regardless. And I
Right.
live about an hour and 20 minutes away, so I'm well into my trip, and I'm sitting in between.
Oh, so you had the middle seat on top
I
of that?
had the middle seat,
Oh.
and it was a packed plane, and they were taking up every bit of their
Oh, my
seat
God.
space.
So you
and
didn't
They were
even
on
have-
your
you had
armrest.
I had no. Oh no!
They're on your
I
armrest.
sat with my arms folded in. like,
Was there
tucked in.
was there good hygiene at least being practiced?
On one side.
On one side, that's the worst, Eevee.
It is the worst. It is the worst. And so we had no flight crew. I think they were delayed somewhere else. And so we sat there, and you're right, Pat, no air conditioning.
You have
when
no
you're
air
sitting
going
there.
through,
That is
No.
so that
horrible.
stank
Yeah.
is just sitting
It's
there.
just sitting
Yeah.
there.
And you
like,
mentioned the
stuck
plane
around
was
me.
packed, right?
Completely packed.
Paul and I were coming back from the national championship game in Phoenix, and we were on a charter, and there was about 380-something people on this flight, and we got held for over 2+ hours at Sky Harbor in Phoenix. We were supposed to leave at like 1:30 in the morning. We ended up like flying out at like 4-something that morning, and the reason why is because the FAA, I was unaware of this, but you have to have X number of stewardesses
Flight attendants.
flight attendants, sorry, I'm old school. They had to have so many flight attendants per like the number of people. They didn't have enough. So we had to wait for another flight to come in overnight so that crew could jump off that and get on ours
Yeah.
to be able to fly. So that's probably another reason why you guys were delayed, because you were waiting for that other
Yeah,
crew.
and then there's all sorts of rules about how many hours they can do within a
Yes.
set amount of time. So I was never so glad to take off in all my life. And of course, then it ends up, I think there was a lot of weather I know there was weather over Mississippi, but so much turbulence that then you get the captain has told the flight attendants we have to sit in our seats and we can't get up. So I'm like,
Well,
really?
This is when you need the Jackson Dart NIL deal that he had
Thank
last
you.
year, right?
Yes. Nicholas
Not that air travel has ever been seamless, but it seems like now it's every time that I fly, there's an issue.
Yeah. I got really lucky. The women's basketball team for Ole Miss was in the NCAA tournament. They made the Sweet 16, and they were going to Spokane. And Coach Yo let me tag along on the team plane.
Very nice.
Now, that was a nice plane, and I was all worried ahead of time because she called me. She's like, Eevee, I need to know how much you weigh, and I'm like, excuse me. And she's like, I need to know. I have to turn it in. And I'm, after I hung up, I thought, is this like a tiny little plane where literally and that extra 20 pounds or whatever I need to lose is going to make a difference? And no, it was a nice big one, and food and Wi-Fi and charging and way better.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back 1 year ago in Dallas, Texas. There was so much talk about this Ole Miss football team. Everybody said this is the year. Lane's got him. He's got the talent. He's got the roster. He's got the quarterback. This is the year it's going to happen. It didn't happen. Now we're here in Atlanta. Take us, compare, contrast last year at this time, this year at the time, how it's different. Can this Ole Miss team break that glass and get into the CFP this year with a roster that is less talented, at least on paper, than it was last year?
Right. Good question. I think the expectations were so high last year, and I think y'all asked me last year, was it, playoffs or bust? And really, with the fan base, it was playoffs or bust, and probably with a lot of the donors who paid for, the money that got a lot of those transfer portal guys. So I'm not so sure that Kiffin and company won't kind of appreciate flying a little bit under the radar this year. Sometimes I think that makes a difference. I do think Austin Simmons is going to surprise some people. Smart kid, we talked about that. He's already graduated from Ole Miss. After just 2 years there, and that's after graduating from high school 2 years earlier. So, he should just be graduating high school a month or so ago. So, really impressed with him, his knowledge of the playbook. I got to text with his daddy last night, and I'm like, what is something that maybe people don't know? And he said he's got a really good grasp of the playbook. And part of that is, yes, he's going to be first-time starter, but this will be actually his third season there with Kiffin and Charlie Weiss. So I think it's not unrealistic to say as Simmons goes, probably so go the Rebels.
If you're going to compare Ole Miss and the guys he's going to be throwing to in the position group being wide receiver, how would you maybe compare? We know that he's going to have talented wide receivers, but how would you compare Eevee this year's group to maybe some of the seasons past?
I'm really looking forward to this year's group. His portal got some really good kids in the portal. Dejon Stribling from Oklahoma State, Harrison Wallace III from Penn State. To me, and you've got Caden Lee coming back. I think they're going to have more depth. I mean, they had a lot of guys last year, but when Trey Harris got hurt, the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. And so they've lost Jordan Watkins and of course, Trey. But some of these new guys, Deuce Alexander from Wake Forest and Caden Lee, like I said, is coming back. And he had almost 1,000 yards last year. And he and Simmons got a really good chemistry with each other. And I'm excited to see these guys. I think I think that they compare very favorably. I'm going to age myself here, but I was looking through some old photos, and I had one that I took, must have been 2013 or 2014, on the sidelines and standing back to back. I had Quincy Adebojo, Laquan Treadwell, and Dante Moncrief, all on the same team, and they just look monsters. And you know what? I could see this group being equivalent. So
talking to Eevee Vanpelt from the Rebel Walk joins us here live on set here at the College Football Hall of Fame SEC Media Days 2025. So I have to ask you this. Last year, we did not foresee that a home game against Kentucky was going to derail Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. And on top of that, we did not anticipate a visit to the Swamp where they played lethargic and the Gators pulled the upset and knocked Ole Miss out of the college football playoff consideration. Where on this year's schedule, Eevee, makes you the most nervous in regards to potentially having one of those type games that derailed them last year?
I tell you what, of course, they got to go to Lexington this year, and I mean, I think last season that was the only SEC game Kentucky won was against Ole Miss. Now, I mean, I did not see that coming.
No one did, Eevee.
No one
that
did.
was ridiculous. I tell you, I don't think OU is being underestimated, but the Rebels have to travel to Norman, and I think that's going to be one that I circle on my calendar. Florida does come to Ole Miss this year, and speaking of not having something on my bingo card, I really didn't have Ulysses Bentley not playing against Florida and Ole Miss playing their fourth or fifth string wide receiver at running back that game. That was just a little bit of a puzzler. So, I don't know. Now, that being said, I think Ole Miss's ground game is going to be a lot stronger this year.
What about the defensive side of the ball? Pete Golding now kind of officially.
Are they ready to throw him out of Oxford like they were in Tuscaloosa?
Just about the time he's entrenched and feeling good about that side?
No, that's what's so crazy. Pete has just killed it. Pete is a cult hero in Oxford. Like, people love Pete. Oh, I mean, I have grown women my age, even older, who are just like, they have crushes on Pete.
On Pete?
On Pete.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see
Pete's
that coming.
lost some weight.
Okay.
Pete's, kind of
has
taking
he?
a page out of Kiffin's book. He's lost some weight, got a little bit healthier. Not that he wasn't fine, before,
No.
but anyway. So, no, I mean, I think the defense was so good last year for Ole Miss. I mean, they didn't lose games because of that defense.
No.
So it'll be interesting this year. I mean, to not have Walter Nolan and Jared Ivey and J.J. Pegues and, those guys, that's going to be tough. But he's actually recruited really well. He's got some guys now that have been in the system a couple of years. Cam Franklin, Jamarius Brown, and then Xavier Harris, the big 6'7" kid. They got Deshaun Womack, a transfer from LSU. I think they're really looking forward to what he can do. And they got Princely Umanmiele's little brother, Prince Will, from
I'm so glad you
Nebraska.
said
Yeah, I
his
mean, say
name.
that. Can you say that 5 times?
I could. Umanmiele or Prince Will
Umanmiele.
Umanmiele.
See, I mean, we had Tonga Vailoa. That was no problem. Or Igbignogany
It was
at Auburn.
for me. It was.
Those two.
Iamaliava.
Iamaliava, that one took me a while. Like, I had to literally say it
To
over and
Landrum's
over
credit,
and over.
Landrum nailed that day one. Like, we were actually talking to a Tennessee reporter that day when he committed to Tennessee, and Landrum just rolled off his tongue like he had been Nico's best friend since middle school. Like, he knew exactly how to say his name, and the rest of us is like going, "Oh my gosh, we thought Tonga Vailoa was tough, but this is really
Yeah,
bad."
I still struggle with.
But I struggle with words like burglary. So, go figure.
That is crazy. All right, so if we're holding your feet to the fire, and this is July, we get it, you can change. Where does Ole Miss finish on that 12-game regular season? I'm not asking you where they win or lose, but give me a total. 10-2, 11-1.
I was just fixing to say I think 10-2. I can,
Okay.
I've said it before on y'all's show, and it happened. And they've had, again, 3 10-win seasons in the last 4. So as our friend Brett Norsworthy and I were talking, it's kind of become a little bit more normal. It's not so weird. It was weird maybe the first year I told you I think they're going to win 10 games, and they did win 10 games. But Brett did point out one thing to me. He said in the last 62 games, Lane is 44-18. Prior to that, Ole Miss was 30-32 in that. So, I mean, I think in the previous 62 before him, they were 30-32. So, I really do think, people can, mess with Lane all they want to. But, I mean, I do think when you're in Oxford and you win 10 games and you win the Gator Bowl and people are ticked off, that speaks to a change in mindset.
Yeah, that culture, that winning culture starting to really take hold. Totally away from football. You don't have to comment. I just want to make it because it came up on our show last week. I had no idea because of some social media posts. I am pulling for Lane and Layla to be reunited.
Well, you know, it's funny. I have a real good friend of mine, Hoot Out Holly, on Twitter, and there was a picture yesterday that Lane posted from who knows where on a boat, and Layla Kiffin and maybe one of his nieces were on the back of the boat, you know, sunning, and my friend Hoot Out Holly tweets. Lane Kiffin is my president and Layla's my first lady. And Lane responded, you know, to that. And so then she responded with little heart emojis. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I know Knox Kiffin is supposedly everything that they think kind of the media people talking, think he will be at quarterback for
now,
Oxford High School.
Well, I was going to ask, so he's a freshman?
He'll be a sophomore.
Oh, sophomore.
He'll be a
Okay.
sophomore. This will be his first year there.
Okay.
And he's already, you know, over 6 feet, 6'2", maybe.
Is that a given? He's going to Ole Miss?
You know, it's funny. I don't know that. I think it might be that he's not. Just because I
Right.
think Lane, yeah, I mean, he talked about that one time. And
I mean, he was at the Alabama football camp.
Right, he was. He's been at a lot of the football camps, and Lane tweets,
I think he's a spy.
He may be. Lane is pretty. When Lane, you know, he said, "I don't just think outside the box. I create a new
How old
box."
is Knox? How old is he?
He's
Sophomore.
a sophomore. He'll be a sophomore.
So he's 16 maybe? 15? 16?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big, strong. I mean, he's a big, strong-looking kid, and I have heard, you know, David Cutcliffe's son is the head coach at Oxford High School.
Okay.
What a small world. I saw David earlier
Yeah, we
this
saw him
morning.
earlier.
Really?
David looked great, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
He looked fantastic. You could tell when these guys get out of coaching,
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, they just look like they just thought, my
Oh,
goodness.
it's Fountain of Youth.
Oh, amazing.
Not to be mean, and I mean, I know Hugh Freeze has been sick, but I mean, it kind of aged. It seems like Auburn's kind of aging him a little bit. So.
Just a
I
little
was
bit.
just thinking about. I was thinking about a funny storyline if he was still down there, if he recruited Knox, and but that. Never,
Yeah.
that
I don't
would
know. So I'm wondering how Lane is going to navigate that, because you know he's going to want to be there on Fridays watching.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Knox. So
There's no doubt.
anyway, that'll be fun.
One of our favorite people. It's fun when we do these radio shows and we get to say hello to great people in person, like Eevee Vanpelt from the Rebel Walk. So,
You're too kind.
well, just don't disappoint us this afternoon.
Okay.
Hotty toddy.
I mean, you know, you're part of like our Wikipedia page. You know, like
That's right.
coaches, like the coaching tree. It's like when you or Brett or all these folks that go on these big time radio shows on
y'all
across
are
America.
a big time radio show.
we're
you
just, we're
know
just
that.
happy. We're just happy to be on.
There's
every
two
day.
hacks.
Yeah.
Just trying to get through the day.
No,
We're just
Punching the clock.
Yep, just trying to make it through another day.
Trying to
Evie.
make the sausage, Eevee.
That's all we're
Well,
doing.
y'all do a really good job of making the sausage.
Well, you're
so,
awfully kind, but have fun this afternoon with
Thank you.
that guy named Feinberg.
Yeah, yeah, that guy. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. I'm probably more nervous with y'all because I know
Why?
you. Because I know you, and I
Oh.
think so much of y'all. Not
Oh,
that I don't think a
please.
lot of Paul, but I don't know him, so
Yeah, it doesn't
what
matter.
he thinks of me
Yeah.
is not as big a deal as what y'all think. So
Oh, well,
Call
there
him
you go.
Pat when you go on the show.
Oh gosh.
Now, see, you've just already said something in her head.
You know, I probably will mistakenly do that. You know,
It'll be fun.
That
He'll
would be funny.
I talked to him earlier this morning. He seems to be in a good mood.
He's
So
a
I think
gracious
he'll-
host.
Okay.
He's from
Okay.
Memphis, so you know he has a lot of those old
Yeah.
Ole Miss tendencies in him.
Well, I mean, are he and Lane really? You know, I mean, Lane still gigs him about.
No,
his-
they're in a good spot right now.
Okay.
You know, it's
well, that's
it's a roller coaster, but like right now they're in a really good spot.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good. to
They're,
know.
they're in a good place in their relationship.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I know
Lane
that they-
seems to be with a lot of people.
Yeah,
He's
they
doing a
left
great job.
Destin on a good note.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good to know.
that's good to go.
It can always change.
Yeah, it's minute by minute. And
Yeah.
Lane might tweet something
I
in
was
the
just,
next.
yeah, I was just going to say, Lane's Twitter. You never know.
All right.
Lane hadn't been on Twitter as much lately, other than, you know, he's had a lot of fabulous, you know,
Yeah.
ocean pictures and fishing pictures and trolling Hugh Freeze, you know,
Yeah.
you know, reeling in a big one, and so.
That's good stuff.
Maybe
Anyway.
maybe the courting period. That's taken up a lot of his time.
Maybe.
Pulling for you, Lane and Layla.
Yeah.
That is Eevee Vanpelt, the Rebel Walk. Ole Miss Eevee on Twitter X. Go follow her and the Rebel Walk. Thanks, Eevee.
Thanks, Eevee.
Thank you.
Always great to see you. That's Eevee Vanpelt joining us live here on Set College Football Hall of Fame. More SEC Football Media Days from Atlanta. It is 12:23 over here in Atlanta, 11:23 back in the Magic City. Thanks for tuning us in on Jox. This is Three Man Front live from the College Football Hall of Fame. What do you think? 10-2, according to Eevee Vanpelt for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah, interesting games. Oklahoma, that's going to look a little bit different, having to go to Norman. LSU coming to your place, having to travel to Athens, Georgia. 10-2 would be really, really good, and based on that, you think that probably punches your ticket to the college football playoff.
Yeah, we will wait and see. Earlier this morning, Greg Sankey kicked this whole conclave off as he was talking about a myriad of topics. Let's take a listen to some of the things that the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference had to say, including this about college athletics not being broken.
Let me be clear, from my perspective, college athletics is not broken. College athletics is not broken. It is under stress. It is strained. And the answers we seek are tied into the complexities that have been referenced over time. I went back and read my remarks from this podium or others over the last few years, and pretty consistently have identified the challenges ahead with some of the decisions that we may have to make. I don't think the answers come from courtrooms completely. They don't come from commentators or commentary. They don't come from those outside sudden experts with their newest idea. Those of us in higher education, embedded in college athletics, know the intricacies of what's in front of us.
That was Commissioner Greg Sankey earlier this morning talking about college athletics not being broken just yet. He was also asked about the 8-9 game SEC conference schedule and some of the logistics that are being involved right now on a timetable in regards to the SEC making that decision.
We have to make decisions about the 26th season and adjust if we're going to go to 9 games, and there have to be games removed or rescheduled. And if we stay at 8, probably a little bit easier on that part of the logistics. Once we make a decision in the conference office, we're pretty ready to go. If you go back to when we made our last decision, we were in Destin. I think 2 weeks later, had opponents out, and shortly thereafter, we were prepared with dates and sites, sort of thing.
You remember that happened a couple years ago, and he brought that up in regards, Landrum, to a situation where the SEC, we kept waiting and waiting, and then once they were able to pull the trigger on it, it happened and came out in about 2 weeks. So it's not like they're sitting around the SEC office and they don't have a scheduling format ready to go, just depending on which one they want to go with.
Well, there's two comments. I think that's Greg Sankey saying, for those of you thinking that there are a lot of unanswered questions, we got a pretty good finger on the pulse. We got a pretty good beat on it, and we're going to get this figured out, though that there are numerous complexities. That's always good to hear from the most powerful man in college athletics by some people's opinion.
No doubt. Also, the major topic of college football playoff expansion, that has dominated the conversation this summer. This is what Greg Sankey had to say about that topic.
Very clearly in that memorandum of understanding is granted to the combination of the SEC and Big Ten. Ultimately, we have to use that authority with great wisdom and discretion. But unless people want to tear it up, we're going to have 5+7, 5+9, 5+11. As I understand, doubling down, so that was one of the phrases last week. That's part of the gambling experience, as I understand. And you always want to have a really good set of cards. You want to have a good hand to play, right? And I think we have the best hand to play. So we're going to operate consistent with the MOU. There's an allocation of those 5 spots. And I guess we'll continue to debate whether expansion beyond 12 is appropriate for the college football playoff.
That was the only time that he really kind of had a veiled shot at the Big 12 and Brett Yormark, because Brett Yormark came on and he said, we are doubling down on the 5 and 11 format. Greg Sankey wanted to point out that doubling down is a gambling terminology, and that's what you just heard.
Yeah, by the way, I know what you're holding, and I know what my cards look like, and you know what my cards look like. So just be careful with your comments here in the future, because you will be reminded of those doubling down comments.
Yeah, that's.
I love the little geek.
Yeah, no, that was good.
That was
good, but I wanted more of that. I wanted more stuff shot across the bow. We didn't get it.
No,
I was disappointed.
If only Jim Phillips would pull his head out from wherever it is and make more inflammatory comments, we would get that. But he's too worried about the whole school thing.
He is. Well, the GMC Summer Sales Event is going on as we speak at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. The savings are hotter than ever, just like the temperatures. Right now in Trussville, you can get up to $15,000 off the luxurious Sierra Denali Ultimate, or save up to $11,000 off the rugged AT4X with the largest selection you're going to find anywhere in Central Alabama. Can be found right there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Plus, they've got over 30 certified pre-owned vehicles on the ground, priced to move as we speak. 9 acres of inventory right there in Trussville. Don't wait. You can visit them online at Courtesy GMC, which is courtesybirmingham.com, or go by in person and see them off of exit 32 I-459 in Trussville. It's where Alabama saves on brand new GMC, so go by and see them at Courtesy GMC. More three-man front. We are live right here at the College Football Hall of Fame SEC 2025 Media Days. We're back live at the College Football Hall of Fame. It's SEC Football Media Days 2025. Conrad, Pat Landrum here in Atlanta. Molly back in Birmingham. It has been a great morning. Really appreciate Gary Stoken dropping by. Eevee Vanpelt. We're going to talk to Matt Moscona from LSU's flagship station there in Baton Rouge, ESPN Radio. Also later on in the program, Damen Harris, former Alabama running back, who had some very pointed things to say last year when Alabama had lost a couple of those games they shouldn't have. He's going to join our program in the 1 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that one. That should be a good interview with Damen Harris.
Well, summer is in full swing, and that means our friends at Stark Exterminators want to remind you to get the free home or business pest inspection today. You can simply do so by going 855-START now. You can set up the appointment. One of their great professional team members come out to your home, your place of business, inspect it thoroughly inside and out like they did ours at the Roberts house over 3 years ago. They will address any current issues like ants in the bathroom, for instance, that we had that you have going on. They'll take care of those, but also they're going to be really thorough in and around your property and coming up with any potential problems that could arise down the road. So enjoy the rest of your summer. Know the kids are going to be starting back at school, but enjoy that time with the family, with the friends, entertaining, hosting, just hanging out there in the yard around the home, and don't have to battle with those stinging, pesky insects. 855-START now. Go to StarkExterminators.com. Family owned for over 61 years, and they're always going to use the most safe and environmentally effective methods available. 855-START now. Go to StarkExterminators.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jox sent you.
Shane Beamer, the head football coach at the University of South Carolina, at the podium, speaking to the media about his Gamecocks for 2025.
In this conference as well, he's already made us better as an offense on and off the field. When you look at us, we've got to replace the interior of our offensive line and a lot of playmakers at the running back and tight end position. But I'm excited about the potential of the guys returning and how we take the next step as an offense under Coach Shula. Defensively, it's year 5 with Clayton White as our defensive coordinator. He's done a remarkable job in the 4 seasons leading our defense. It's great to have him back and our entire defensive staff back around him as well. We've got to continue to be opportunistic as a defense. We've led the SEC in takeaways since 2021, and we've got to continue to be that group. We played great defense last season, but we've lost a lot of production, particularly right up the middle of our defense at defensive tackle, linebacker, and safety. But the group that we return is very athletic, and really excited about the potential of the next group of guys to make their impact on our defense. And then in special teams, this will be my 26th year in coaching coming up, and I don't believe I've ever been a part of a team that has to replace literally every key part of their special teams units like we do this season. We'll have a new punter, we'll have a new place kicker, we'll have a new kickoff guy, we'll have a new holder, we'll have a new snapper, we'll have a new punt returner, and we'll have a new kickoff returner. So that is, we've been very spoiled. Every punt that we've punted the football at South Carolina since I've been the head coach, Kai Kroger has punted the ball. So the first time we punt, and hopefully that won't be anytime soon, we'll have a new punter out there as well. But those are guys that are young and talented, and excited to see what we do in year 2 under Joe DeCamillis as our special teams coordinator. We've got to continue to be aggressive and opportunistic there. We've led the SEC in block kicks since 2021. We've got a strong culture in Columbia, on and off the field. That's evident with what we're doing academically with the number 2 graduation success rate in the SEC. Currently, when we kick off in 48 days back here in Atlanta, we'll have 19 players on our team that have already graduated from the University of South Carolina. When we play postseason football in December, that number will be 31 players that will be graduates of the University of South Carolina. Last semester, we had 31 players make the dean's list, and the last 2 semesters have been the best semesters academically in the history of the South Carolina football program. Not since I've been the head coach, in the history of the program. So last fall, we set a record for our team GPA, and then our mantra as a team in 2025 is to take things farther on and off the field than what we did in 24, and we did that by shattering the record that we set in December. We shattered it in the spring with the spring semester as well. Recruiting has gone well in the last few years, and it's going well well right now. There's a lot of expectations for 25, and there should be, but we're built for years to come and are going to continue to be good at South Carolina. We're not going anywhere. There's a lot of young talent on our team, and there's more coming. It's a great place to recruit, too. When you talk about the academics in Columbia, the beautiful campus that we have, a capital city, a fantastic place to live, the best fan base in all of America, the upcoming stadium improvements to Williams-Brice Stadium that are going to take place. We'll start on that after this upcoming season. We'll start on those improvements, and that'll be a 3-year project to make what already is, in my mind, the best atmosphere in all of college football even better. And then just the leadership that we have in our administration, an awesome president in Michael Amaritas, great board chairman in Thad Westbrook. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Ray Tanner for all he did for the University of South Carolina and for me as our athletic director. Wish him well in retirement, but really fired up for the future with our new athletic director, Jeremiah Donati, and then our deputy athletic director, Jeff Crane, both of which have been hired since the last time I was here last July. But those guys are energetic, forward-thinking, and determined to take South Carolina athletics to the next level. And there's a lot of excitement in Columbia right now. Playing in this league, you know every year the schedule is going to be tough. That's a great schedule that we get to play in this league. As a competitor, you want to compete against the best, and that's what we do in the Southeastern Conference. It's great hearing from other players when they transfer into our place, and they talk about how different our place is from where they came from in regards to the culture. You know, you hear a lot of negatives about college athletics right now, but there's so many positives in college athletics right now. There's so many positives in college football, and there's so many positives at South Carolina. I used this expression last year, and I'll use it again, but there's a saying, if you can't have fun at work, you got a bad job. Well, I absolutely love what I get to do every single day, and I have a great, great job in Columbia. There's no doubt about it. Top players, they didn't come to South Carolina. The top players on our team didn't stay at South Carolina to be average. There's a championship mindset, and like I said a minute ago, our whole mantra in 2025 is to take things farther in 25 than what we did in 24. I think the pride in Gamecock athletics is at an all-time high. The number of people that stop me on the street or in an airport when I'm traveling and want to talk about South Carolina athletics is higher than it's ever been. We're going to set a record this season for new season tickets sold at Williams-Brice Stadium. Booster Club memberships to our Gamecock Club, those memberships are on pace for an all-time high, and then we have already doubled this year our previous record for philanthropic giving to the University of South Carolina Athletic Department. So 48 days until we're back here in Atlanta. Cannot wait to kick things off against Virginia Tech in the AFLAC kickoff game. Anything that Gary Stoken and his team with the Peach Bowl touch is going to be first class, and we could not be more fortunate to be playing in such a great event that they put on the AFLAC kickoff game as well. The expectations at our place is to compete for the playoff each and every year and not just be bowl eligible. That's what we're working towards each and every day. That's what our guys have done since January when they came back, is to take things farther in 2025, and eager to kick things off here soon when we crank things up. With that, any questions?
Thank you, Coach Beamer. If you have a question, raise your hand. Emma, Anna, and Nathan will get to you. If again can stand as you're able to stand, give your name and affiliation. We're going to start right here in the center aisle with Mike.
Coach, Mike Griffith, Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Mike, you walked in late and you get the first question?
No, I've been here. I circled back just for you, Shane.
All right, appreciate you, buddy.
Good stuff. College football playoff has obviously been discussed quite a bit, and South Carolina was on the brink, or maybe should have been in even, arguably. How important do you think it is that these playoffs get expanded, and what are your thoughts about the 8 versus 9 game schedule, considering your annual rivalry against Clemson?
Yeah, I'm all for expansion to give more teams opportunities. I want to make sure we have the greatest regular season in any sport in college athletics, in my opinion, because every regular season game means something. So you want to make sure that the regular season doesn't lose meaning, and confident that it won't if we expand. It'll still make a lot more games meaningful in the month of November in my mind, and then gives more teams opportunities to go compete for a championship, which is what anybody wants. I mean, we went into the last weekend last year against Clemson, Thanksgiving weekend, and not just us, but there were a lot of teams across the country that felt they still had an opportunity to get into that 12-team playoff. So I'm all for it. In regards to the 8 and the 9 game, competition is a core value of our program. So I'm never going to shy away from competition. I just said that we have a schedule that we get to play. But we also get to play Clemson every season as well. And that's a non-conference rival that we have that not every school in this league has. Florida plays a non-conference rival from another conference. Georgia does as well. And then Kentucky does. But I think we're the only ones. And I know everyone is going to play a Power 4, Power 5, whatever it's called now, team in the regular season typically. But in my mind, we're already playing 9 conference games. And then if we go to 9, we're now playing 10 conference games. And then we've also got future schedules with Miami on it, Virginia Tech this year, North Carolina State. So I'm all for competition, but I want to make sure that the other teams in this league aren't playing 9 SEC games and then playing 3, whatever you want to call them, games that they should win, because that's not very smart as the head coach of South Carolina to be doing that if that's what the other teams in this league aren't doing.
That is Coach Shane Beamer, the head football coach of the University of South Carolina. He is one of the featured coaches today, along with Clark Lee, Brian Kelly. Also here on site as the 4 coaches, Lane Kiffin will be the 4th that will make his appearance here on Media Row.
Yeah, and I'm sure that a lot of these coaches, and Shane Beamer being one of them, you know, what he's done in Columbia has been nothing short of remarkable. I would be the first to say that I did not expect this, but it'd be interesting to hear maybe some of his responses, because don't you view South Carolina as no longer the hunter, kind of the hunted?
No,
where
there's
he's
no
got
question.
that program?
There's no question. No question about it whatsoever.
And especially with a marquee player like Lenoris Sellers. So Coach is making his rounds, as Pat mentioned. Coach Lane Kiffin, the Ole Miss Rebels, their contingency going to be making the rounds. And we've seen Coach Clark Lee, who has not missed a workout day. He still looks like he's in really good shape, but he's got the suit and tie on.
No, he is in good shape. You know, you can bet your bottom dollar that Clark Lee is once again one of those other teams that you're sitting there looking at the Vegas about a month and a half ago. The win total was 4.5. Now it's 5.5. So just over a month. And who knows, he might say something here in Atlanta that might just absolutely, put them in the stratosphere. Coming up at the top of the hour, we will talk to Matt Moscona from LSU, the mothership station for LSU Bengal Tigers. He'll be joining us at the top of the hour. Damen Harris in the 1 o'clock. So we have had a jam-packed show. Tomorrow it's going to be crazy because you've got the 2 UTs in town, Tennessee and Texas.
Ooh,
and you got the Auburn Tiger. Yeah, a lot of orange tomorrow, as Auburn will be in attendance as well. So it should be a jam-packed day coming up tomorrow. So keep it tuned right here on Jox. We'll have all these interviews starting bright and early every single morning with Conrad and Damien, Mac and Cube, and then, of course, we'll be back here at the College Football Hall of Fame. More 3-man front here on Jox, coming right back from the College Football Hall of Fame.
Welcome back. We are live from Atlanta, the College Football Hall of Fame. Second floor officially, and off to our left is the Travis Hunter jersey, cleats, and beautiful Colorado helmet. Also gloves I can see there, Conrad. As SEC Media Days, Day 1, already kicked off earlier this morning. We had the State of the SEC address by Commissioner Greg Sankey. Not really a whole lot. It was a thinly veiled shot towards Brett Yormark and his comments, but nothing too saucy, Pat. We've seen saucier, more juicy opening statements from Commissioner Sankey, so I guess there's nothing going on in college athletics.
Yeah, it was interesting because Destin was where the sauciness went on. That was the back and forth. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
Destin stealing the thunder of SEC Media Days.
Yeah, we just need to go to Destin next year.
Bunch of elitist.
Yeah. We could stay at Mike's place in Gulf Shores.
Yep, we'll commute over every day.
And make the drive over to Destin.
I would love that.
That would be a lot of fun. Hey, right now at Artec Tractor in Jasper, how about the Mahindra 1120 tractor with loader for only $187 per month with zero money down? That's right, the Mahindra 1120 tractor with loader, $187 per month right there at Artec Tractor. That is 0% interest for 84 months right now. This is a 20-horsepower tractor with four-wheel drive, perfect for yard work and small hunting property as well. They can also package any of the tractors up with a trailer, have a rotary cutter, box blade, etc. They can always customize the packages that they have at Artec Tractor. I decided to go to Artec Tractor in Jasper for my zero turn instead of going to one of those big box stores that you passed by yesterday when you came by my house.
Yeah.
5 minutes from
By the way, your yard looks fabulous.
And it's because of the Artec Tractor that I got from Artec Tractor in Jasper, because that's why I was disappointed. I got back from the beach and I didn't have to cut my grass.
But I told you that when I pulled up. I said your grass looks great.
Yeah, you did, and I appreciate that. And so, but you need to take my advice and go see the fine folks there at Artec Tractor, just north of Jasper. You will not be disappointed. They can take care of you just like they took care of me.
You know, there's just certain things, Conrad, that become synonymous with somebody now, and you can ask Dorothy anytime we're riding down the road and somebody's on a zero turn. I go, look, there goes Pat.
It's a good thing to be known for.
Yeah,
he's very excited about it. I've never seen Pat more excited than he is with his Artec Tractor.
Yeah, Pat's really I get excited about things that Pat probably feels, well, that's silly, but Pat, it takes a little bit to kind of raise the needle of excitement, and I cannot thank the folks at Artec Tractor enough for what they have done for my friend.
Hey, let me tell you something. You get into the springtime, and if you're a homeowner, you're like, I want this curb appeal. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to get out. I want to overseed. I want to, make sure my winterizer's out. You want that best-looking yard. And then all of a sudden you get to July and it's 127,000 degrees outside with the humidity of 110%, and it feels like you're on the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want this thing to die. Like I don't want to go out there ever again. Like I don't even know. Let's put AstroTurf in the backyard. Let's just be done with it. But Artec Tractor in the zero turn that I got literally has made me doing yard work a joy again.
I want to see designs. I want that done.
Well, I will get more into that next year. I'd never, obviously handled a zero turn before, so I'm starting to get the hang of it. I've had about a month or so to deal with it, and it's I feel pretty good about how I can get around.
I'm going to do the aeration for the first time in my yard.
Okay, see, I've never done that before.
Yeah, looks like a lot of fun.
We just need to get Conrad out to do some of that.
Conrad?
I'm not much of a yard working guy, Pat. I'm sure that shocks you.
If we found a old school pair of golf spikes, would you just walk around in the yard to create the aeration?
Oh, absolutely. That'd be great.
That'd be fun. We could video it.
That would be fun. I would do that for $100.
And I know we're about to head out of this hour, and Matt Moscona is going to join us in just a couple minutes from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. We're just going to say this. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. If you've been on social media and you saw a story that went viral, I just spoke to the individual that went viral on something about Nick Saban, and that story is a non-story.
It's a non-story.
Non-story.
Don't talk about it.
And we're just going to leave it at that.
Yep. We're not talking about it.
Nope.
It's silly.
It's a non-story.
It's a non-story.
More three-man front live, College Football Hall of Fame. We began the halfway point of Three-Man Front live at the SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta, Georgia. Pat, Conrad, Landrum, Molly with you until 2 o'clock Central. It's been a great show. Hope you have tuned in. If you missed any of our interviews, you can always download the Three-Man Front podcast, and you can listen to those in your entirety. As we had earlier in the program, Gary Stoken, the CEO of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, also the Aflac kickoff game, the kickoff classic that will have two SEC teams playing in it, not against each other. There'll be a doubleheader going on here in Atlanta, Georgia. We also talked to Eevee Vanpelt. Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. He is going to join us in just a couple minutes. He's wrapping up an interview with Garrett Nussmeier, the hometown quarterback for the LSU Bengal Tigers. Damen Harris, former Alabama running back. He will join the program next hour, get his thoughts on Kalen DeBoer. Season number 2, he had some pointed comments last year on CBS Sports Network on his alma mater and what was going on with the Tide. There goes Brian Kelly. Looks like he's dropped another 10 pounds. Looking good.
Brian Kelly looks
looking
good.
Svelte.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah. Looks like he's gotten a little taller.
Yeah. Let's go to the text line brought to you by Courtesy GMC, 205-834-9450.
That is right, Pat. And this one rolls in, and it reads as it's refreshing. Here's an idea for the college football playoffs. Pass it along, whoever needs to hear it. We certainly will. First, 10th is based on season and strength of schedule. First round of the playoffs is the wild card week. First, 10th have a bye week. Have 11 versus 12 for the 11th ranked, and then you have 13 versus 14 for the 12th ranked spot. Then you have your 12-team playoff, but it would essentially be a 14-team playoff. Just a thought. There's a lot there, and everybody's got a really good idea. The thing that I love about this week in particular, guys, is there are 16 coaches, there are 16 groups of players, and the level of optimism about the upcoming season will never be higher than it is this particular week. Have you ever heard anybody come in to SEC Media Days in all of your time of doing this, Pat, and go, yeah, we just, this might just be one of those years, if you know what I mean?
Well, I will tell you, one of the Vanderbilt coaches back in the day, maybe it was Rob Dahauer or Woody Weidenhofer.
Who was the turkey inseminator?
That was Dahauer.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Rob Dahauer. He was an individual that, let's just say that he was not a joy to be around when he was at SEC Football Media Days. Kind of gruff, kind of old school type coach, and he was the head coach of Vanderbilt. Like, what would you expect? I mean, seriously, I'm not being ugly. I'm just being truthful. Like, why would Rob Dahauer be excited about being the head coach at Vanderbilt?
I guess so one day you could say, hey, I was the head coach at Vanderbilt once.
Well, he definitely checked that box.
And then right after that, it's, all right, so what did you come in here looking for today? Was it a generator?
That dude was something else.
Let me take you to aisle 6, bay 3.
Yeah.
Uncle Jerry from Hayden says the non-story that we were talking about. He says it's a non-story until the Bonehead gets run out of Tuscaloosa. That already starting?
Well, it was interesting because the person that was reporting this non-story this morning that was taking a quote, we saw him late last night downstairs.
Yeah.
We did.
Dining by himself.
Well, he was.
So maybe he was working on this big story.
I was about to say he was stewing on whether to reveal this to the world or not.
I guess so. But I have had not only the person that was reportedly that broke the news to America that Nick Saban wanted to coach again. Not only did I speak with him moments ago, but also we have it on very good authority of the people that would be in the know with Nick Saban absolutely shot that down. So it's just a non-story.
Darren from Tennessee texts in and says, if Kentucky fires Stoops, who do y'all think would be a good replacement? First and foremost, it would be John Summerall, I would think.
Yes.
Who has familiarity with that program. If you wanted to go outside of the box, you could maybe go for a Jamie Chadwell at Coastal Carolina. Just thinking about proximity or former SEC coaches. Is Dan Mullen going to be completely happy in Las Vegas running UNLV?
Hey, I mean, based on the last 5 years of his career, Liam Cohen might come back, honestly.
Liam
he
Cohen,
loves to come and then leave again.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. Just being in the SEC and what that salary would pay, just to start being in the SEC, that will attract probably more attention from the coaching ranks than I think some would believe.
Did you see the exchange of nasty looks between Diego Pavia that is sitting 10 feet away from Conrad Van Order and Conrad? Did you see how Conrad –
I didn't notice it. No, but I do see –
I was distracted by the
stud,
earring. Yeah.
Was it the earring or his
or
his
or the
bow
chain?
tie and his little gold chain?
Yeah, his chain.
That's a lot of ice in the ears.
Does it infuriate you to look over there and see how that man absolutely ruined your football season last year?
No. Jackson Arnold's not here yet, so I'm good.
You'll see him tomorrow.
Well, he was the one that ruined it because of the Oklahoma game. I don't think Vanderbilt ruined it, but no, I mean, hey, revenge. It's all right.
Is there any potential that we get you two to stand for a picture together?
I would love that.
You would?
I would love that.
Yeah.
If you can make that happen, I'll take a picture with
Tell
him.
you what, Diego's got good hair game.
I will tell you this.
He does.
He's got like Joe Burrow-esque hair.
My first media day was 1993 at the Medical Forum in downtown Birmingham.
And Diego Pavia was still playing college football.
And this, by far, is the biggest onslaught of people. Even Cole Kublik is lined up wanting to get a glimpse of Diego Pavia.
How many people?
I have never seen this much people excited about an individual player that went to Vanderbilt University to play football, ever.
No, it's awesome. It's different. It's a different era for them.
Back in '93, how many members of the media picked Terry Bowden and Auburn to go undefeated?
0.
Yeah.
They were on probation. Couldn't even watch them on television. The Iron Bowl, you had to go and watch a closed – if you did not have a ticket at Jordan Hare Stadium, you had to go to Bryant-Denny Stadium and watch it on a closed-circuit feed, which I did. I was doing a radio show on WERC Radio, a scoreboard show, and me and Bob Lockamy, we actually drove to Tuscaloosa and sat in Bryant-Denny Stadium because it was closer than going to Jordan Hare Stadium, and watched Auburn shock the world and beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl.
Tell Diego you want.
He's 5 feet away.
Right, he's 5 feet away.
He's 5 feet away.
4 feet away.
Just
Conrad,
say, hey, let's
do
get a just grab your phone and just do a selfie.
I'm good.
Give
Come
him
on.
your extra piece of
You
chicken
will
for
brush
lunch.
your teeth with a complete stranger's toothbrush, but you will not. Hey, true story on that. This is no lie. So I was leaving earlier, and you know where all the fans are?
Oh,
behind the tape?
Yeah.
So look, what's going on over there? Look.
Yeah. A lot of bro
wild.
love is all I see.
Yeah.
A lot of bro love.
So anyway, I'm walking past behind the tape.
Yep.
And somebody says, Pat. And I turn around, and it's a listener that has listened to Feinbaum for many years, and I met him many years ago during the Feinbaum show. And every single year, he will come up here, or he will come to SEC Media Days, take time off.
Yeah, and he'll be one of the fans down there in the lobby.
Right.
Yeah.
And he went on and on about, I cannot believe what Conrad did. And
Was he entertained?
Absolutely.
Oh.
He said
Mission accomplished.
He was pressure washing at his house, and he was listening to the program, and he absolutely just could not believe that you did that. But he was thoroughly entertained.
I had somebody yesterday.
I did witness him brushing his teeth last night.
With my own toothbrush.
With his own toothbrush.
Did he?
When I heard it, I did casually walk by just to make sure it wasn't mine.
So now we know Landrum watched me brush my teeth last night, and he watched me while I was sleeping.
Did I tell you that? The weird.
Yeah, you said you woke up in the middle of the night.
He's in the sit-up position.
He was in a weird position.
I wasn't going to bring it up on the air, but since you have,
I'm not.
I was like, what is he doing over there? And do I want to know?
There's got to be other people that do that.
What?
Sleep. Well, and
With
again,
your
as I
legs
said,
up in the air?
well, okay, but as I said, I didn't fall asleep that way. Like I don't do that. I guess I do it
What were
myself.
you
but when
dreaming
I'm
about?
asleep, I don't know. I had a dream last night. I will tell you this: that I drank like 20 bottles of water, and I was really scared that I was going to wake up and there's going to be a little surprise in the bed, and that didn't happen. So fortunately, but for whatever reason, I just had one of those dreams where I just vividly remember drinking a lot of water.
Did you enjoy the glow of the Ferris wheel off in the distance that was coming through the room?
I enjoyed it.
I did too.
It was nice. It didn't bother me at all.
It was like the neon sign. It was like we were living in a small apartment
That's
there
right. You just
in New
needed it to be
York.
like flashing, like the
Yeah.
neon lights. That's like kind of working, but not really.
Yeah, something like that. Diego Pavia is not very tall.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
Is he taller than Damien Mitchell?
He is taller than Damien Mitchell, but
Not by
I would
much.
say he's definitely more built than Kyler Murray was back in the day. But I
That's
would say
true.
Kyler Murray type height.
Yeah, I would probably guess 5'10", 5'11", maybe. But he's wide. He's thicker.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray's so smaller than that.
yeah.
Let me go get the ruler, and I'll go over there.
He's
And
got a big heart.
That would be funny.
hey, Diego.
And Brian Kelly, that's a good mention by you. It looks like he's dropped probably since he started at LSU. I would say a good 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah, he looks really good. He was just on the set of the SEC Network, and he was glowing about Garrett Nussmeier wanting to come back and win a championship at LSU, and he feels very, very confident about this team.
This
now,
is the way you do it. You just wink and you smile when they look over here.
oh, no, look at that.
And
Is
then
that,
they think they're supposed
now,
to
is
know
that
you, and
Brian
they come over
Kelly
and they
and,
say hello.
and
There you go.
Diego? Were they talking?
That's tampering.
No,
that
Diego
wasn't
had already
there.
left.
No, that's not Diego.
Yeah.
I think that's him and
I'll
his
say
own
if you
players.
get that extra year of eligibility.
Yeah.
I think that was a come to the sideline. That was a check with me there with his players. Like, hey, meet me back at the plane. No nonsense. Don't talk to anybody else. No comments. No bulletin board material. We're going to the college football playoff, guys. If we can just be Clemson.
Yeah.
Big if.
If.
You think about how many seasons, well, at least 2 SEC seasons that Clemson could have a big part in ruining.
That's a good point.
Very
they could.
much so.
They really could. Big year for Dabo.
It's a
Big year for Dabo. Can't just wait. You get to see him run down that hill the first game. Just
Yeah.
the patented run that he has.
Something tells me that
It'll be
Dabo doesn't
electric.
feel the pressure anymore.
I think he's just cruising right now.
I think Clemson's going to be really good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that old tree leaning too close to your house? Don't wait for the next storm to make that decision for you. Call Golston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. Your trusted local experts in fast, affordable, and professional tree removal, trimming, and cleanup. Licensed, insured, and ready to handle any job, big or small. Call Golston Tree Service today at 205-337-4443. Golston also offers 24-hour emergency tree service. When it comes to your trees, don't risk it. Call Golston Tree Service today at 205-337-4443.
We continue our coverage from the 2025 SEC Media Days here in Atlanta. We have already heard from LSU's Ryan Kelly, also South Carolina's Shane Beamer. Still to come, we got Lane Kiffin, Clark Lee in the house as well. It's day one of SEC Media Days live here on Three Man Front and Jox.
Okay, we said we weren't going to talk about it because it was a non-story, but so many people have been texting me, asking me what in the world is going on. And in a nutshell, well, let's just ask the gentleman to come on the program right now. You can hear him weekday mornings here on Jox 94.5, Greg McElroy.
We call him the fire starter.
Yes.
Yeah.
He kicks over the ant bed and he runs away.
Anybody that's been listening from the get-go today probably heard the interaction themselves.
Okay,
But if anybody hasn't, I'd be happy to revisit it.
Yeah, please do.
Please
Give us the Cliff Note version of what took place this morning and why everybody in America now believes Nick Saban is ready to coach again.
I don't know why anybody has come to that conclusion. I did have a couple of people that I respect say, don't rule out Coach getting back in it. He's too competitive. I think he loves the game too much. Like, don't rule it out. I'm like, no way. Come on. That was my reaction like everybody else.
Right.
Rule. Come on, get out of here. No, I was like, just saying, don't rule it out. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'll ask Paul. You know what I mean? like Paul's connected. I'll ask him on the show on Monday. So I asked him point blank. I was like, Paul, I wouldn't ask the question if it weren't a couple people I trust and respect that seem to think that this is a possibility. And Paul and I both kind of laugh like, no, absolutely not. I don't see it as a likelihood. Like, he's completely content doing what he's doing. I don't get it. So I just am surprised that basically me asking Paul if he had more information on it has now turned into Coach Saban has taken the Miami Dolphins head coaching job. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know how you can connect those dots.
Well, I couldn't even begin to speculate, and that's what we do for a lot of what we do on a daily basis. But I couldn't even begin there. I don't even know where you start with that because it all seems just so unfeasible.
I don't think it's likely at all. Like, now, do I know Coach's personality? Like, yeah, I'm sure he probably misses coaching a little bit, but not really. Like, coaching nowadays is not coaching. Like, I don't think he misses it. Every interaction I've had with him has been very fulfilled doing what he's doing. So, like, I don't know how people can connect the dots from one thing to another. So, didn't intend to start any firestorms this morning by any stretch. You know me. I mean, I was simply asking the question, like, hey, Paul, have you heard anything? Type of deal. And Paul shot down immediately.
What do you think everybody, I mean, On3 ran with it like you were proclaiming that you had been on the phone with Nick Saban in Jupiter, Florida, and that Nick was ready to come back to work?
I call Coach all the time and ask him about his job prospects. Like, give me a break. Like, no, come on.
Well, that was the but
that's the way it was presented on social media.
It was the way it was presented, but sometimes things are presented differently than they actually are.
Well, yeah.
I think anyone that listened to the interaction, Paul also laughed at it too. He goes, "This is everywhere." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "I know. I'm surprised too." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I didn't think anything of it." Simply asking the question.
I think that it probably got the attention it did, Greg, because there has been a lack thereof of spicy comments. You start with Commissioner Sankey.
But was it spicy?
What you said? No. I'm glad that you gave clarification on it. But Commissioner, and Pat said it, compared to state of the SEC addresses that he has given in the past, maybe this one, I'm not going to say that it was underwhelming, but it didn't pack the punch that some have.
Well, compared to the last couple of years, like, you really think about whether it was 21 when Texas and Oklahoma announced they're joining, 22, when are they coming, and the new implementation of the college football playoff that's coming, plus NIL, plus further realignment with the Big Ten moving the way they did and adding SC and UCLA, all this other stuff, to 23, to 24. We've just had so much change. So it's like we have become accustomed to, like, insanity covering college football and new. And now it's like, all right, everything this year is the same as last year with the exception of the House settlement, which has honestly made it less insane. So it's kind of crazy to me. But, like, I've found, I don't know about y'all, like, I've found this offseason to be really gratifying. Because we're talking about football again as opposed to speculation about what could be coming. So it might not be for everybody. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know there's a large section of the audience that's, like, super fired up about the realignment, speculation. My league's going here. My team's going here. The playoffs going here. Like, I know a lot of people get into that, but I don't know. I'm kind of, like, enjoying being back to the basics a little bit this season so far.
Now, if Nick Saban, I'm not going to ask you if Nick Saban would ever coach again and have the whistle around his neck. But do you think a lot of people would think that if he did, it would be an NFL opportunity? You think he would try, I'm not saying now, but if he were ever going to coach again, it would not be in this college landscape. It would be.
I mean, one, I don't think he's ever coming back because
I don't
the
either,
NFL,
by the way.
The NFL, you're totally at the mercy of what your quarterback situation is. So, like, if the best quarterback in the league, let's just say the Kansas City Chiefs came available, would he think about it? I don't know. How could you not? I mean, I would.
Sure.
I mean, you got to hang on. Yeah, that's the one thing escaping me after what's been maybe as historically significant a career as anybody in the history of the game. I can go maybe get a Super Bowl ring. Like, I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you?
Sure.
I mean,
in a heartbeat.
But I think there'd be 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 jobs in the NFL that would be appealing. But college, no. Like, I don't know about you. I mean,
I said something earlier to someone that walked by and was asking me my opinion on this story that you started this morning, Greg. I appreciate that.
That I started by asking a question. Don't ever ask questions.
Especially to Paul.
Don't ever ask questions to Paul Feinbaum. There's one thing I've learned of this. He's getting nothing but softballs from this point forward.
The only thing I told this individual, I said, just off the top of my head, I said, let's just say that Steve Sarkisian won a national championship this year with Arch and gets an opportunity in the NFL, and he leaves Austin. Would that be a job based on the way that is going now and knowing that Nick had a dalliance with that back around 2012, 2013, going to Austin, the way that is set up to be successful now, would that be a job that he would say, you know what, I could go do that for 4 or 5 years?
I don't think he would.
You don't think so?
I just think it's out of reverence for Alabama and what he's built at Alabama and the relationship he continues to keep at Alabama. I don't see it. Like, I mean, I don't see him coaching anyways, but I also think that he has such an appreciation for the experience that he had. To be on the other sideline opposite Alabama would be too weird. I think. I have no idea. But, like, I think Texas is one of the best jobs in America for sure, but I also think that if he didn't take it 10 years ago, why would you take it now? Or 12 years ago, whenever it was. And I don't even know how far down the rabbit hole they got on that. But
well, it was definitely more than just a loose conversation.
Yeah, which I get.
Well, you wonder with guys that are wired the way that Coach Saban is, and you would know better than anybody, but the grind, his schedule, and what he did on a day-to-day basis, especially in his time at Alabama, to keep up that level of success.
But explain to me this. Like, if he was burnt out by the experience of NIL, now it's another level.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Where it's like
that. Why would he jump back into that? If anything, I could see him doing something philanthropic, where he goes and he helps out a high school team.
That'd be amazing.
You know,
that would be
a story.
Amazing.
And he goes back to West Virginia and helps a high school football team.
Insane. I didn't even think about that angle. That would be the coolest thing ever. But I mean,
volunteer coach. He does not take a salary.
Middle school.
Boom.
Not even varsity.
Pee-wee football.
You got to work his way up, to get varsity.
Lines the field. Yeah. That's something he'd probably enjoy.
He'd probably love it. He walks it anyways. But
I saw the commercial. He likes to cut the grass.
Yeah,
it is a vacation property.
Where do they film that thing, by the way?
Likes the hot tub. Likes cutting the grass.
Likes to swim with strangers in the pool.
Cape Cod vibe on the house. Yeah, I'm still like continuously amazed at like how many people are gravitating to this story as if there's something. It's a complete nothing burger. It was purely speculative.
Has everybody asked you about it?
Oh my God, everybody's asking me about it. It's like, what have you heard? I'm like, dude, I haven't heard anything. I just heard a couple people say don't rule out the possibility of him getting back on the sideline. So I asked Paul about it, and it was pretty much it. Like, the reporters were like, what have you heard? Who are you talking to? I'm like, dude, it was a couple of guys that are connected to the sport that are pretty well informed. Like, that's it. Nothing big. But everybody seems to be gravitating towards it. But I don't really like to be, like, viral. It's not really my thing.
No.
I don't like it at all, to be honest with you. It makes me uncomfortable. That's why I got off social media to begin with. The last thing I want to do is create news. Certainly didn't intend to. I like to react to news. I don't have any intention of creating
Well, I also blame Greg Sankey this morning because outside of one little bitty, cross the bow, wasn't even a cannon fire. It was more like buckshot across towards the Big 12. That was a very boring speech.
I didn't get to hear much of it.
For 45 minutes, I wish I had that time back in my life.
Volleyball is coming back to
What
Atlanta.
did he say about the Big 12?
Doubling down.
Yeah, he took a shot at the doubling down comment that Brett Yormark had at Big 12 Media Days, how we're doubling down on the 5'11".
Yeah.
And so Greg Sankey gave us an education on what doubling down means in the gambling world, what that means, and took a veiled shot.
Doesn't sound so veiled.
Well, I mean, but that was it. I mean, outside of that, it's, volleyball coming back to the state of Georgia.
Do you have a preference, Greg, now that everybody else is throwing out their model? I don't care. Just decide on one and let's do it.
I like 5'11". I still have a hard time. I've been watching college football for 30 years, invested in college football for 30 years, and watching for 37. I'm 37 years old. Pat, you've been watching a long time. Landon,
for 65 years.
35 years. We've all been watching stuff for a long time, and I love this sport. But I think our viewing habits we are so conditioned to watch it a certain way. I don't want to sit there and be thinking in November, man, I hope I can just get to fourth place. That's like something I don't align with. I don't think about it. So I think that at 5'11", at least it maintains a few things. One, it allows us as Bama fans, for example, to be paying attention to what SMU is doing, because SMU directly impacts what Alabama's doing. It allows South Carolina to be focusing on what Syracuse does to Miami, because that's going to have a direct impact on where they might line up. So I think it shrinks the world, which is great. I also think with the debate that we have about teams is healthy, because we're the only sport that has it. That keeps us in the conversation. It allows people to get real fired up about things that might or may not be true. But yeah, I mean, I think those are the two reasons why I lean 5'11". The 4-4-2-2-1-1 model, I just don't get it. Unless you want to put in the ninth conference game and do some type of play-in scenario, that's the only way I can get on board. I have a hard time thinking that that's healthy for the sport long term.
I wanted to ask you, because I haven't had a chance to see you or talk to you since you came back from Frisco, Texas, your old stomping grounds, just north of Dallas. How did the Big 12 treat you?
Awesome.
You being an SEC apologist.
No, it was awesome. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely that. But I also really like the Big 12. Like, just as kind of a football purist, like, the league is awesome. And I've noticed, look, in the SEC, the schools kind of feel like they're doing you a favor by being here. In the Big 12, they're like, you guys at ESPN covering our league, thank you. Like, what can we do to make your life better? Do you want a ribeye steak in the break? Like, what do you want?
Kind of refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. It's like, and honestly, what goes both ways. Like, we're nothing without them. They're not going to get the coverage without us. So, like, it's important. But it was just it's a cool collection of coaches. They all get along. A lot of them are from the same tree. A lot of them have real deep familiarity with each other and have coached against each other. Some coached against each other in high school. All that, I think, makes it pretty interesting. And the players were cool, too. I mean, there's one thing a big takeaway is, like, on the hoof, like some of the guys they had there, they were put together. I mean, like, you don't expect the Big 12 to look the same physically as some of their SEC and Big Ten counterparts, but they very much did, at least the guys that were in attendance that day.
How much should we expect from Texas Tech?
We expect a lot, but, like, when you put that many new faces, and I think whether they want to acknowledge it or not, I do think a lot of the motivation for a lot of those guys going there is financially driven, which is fine. But now the task is getting them all to come together. Like, do they now have they established roots in Lubbock yet? And if they have, like, if things go sideways and they lose one early, will they band together for the greater good to continue forth on their journey to hopefully doing special things? So I think that's the big question. It's just culture at Texas Tech. That many new faces. I think Ole Miss has dealt with it, and as a result, they've had some inconsistent performances for the last few years. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to be watching, like Ole Miss and their ups and downs occasionally. Will Texas Tech have similar ups and downs too? And in that league, some ups and downs, man, you could get got pretty easily.
Well, it's going to be a fun experiment, because I had always speculated on the show, what if there was that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos guy that was out there that really loved college football, really loved college athletics, and wanted to invest. You're right?
Yeah,
but what does that look like? And it seems like it's happened. So this is going to be kind of a fun experiment to watch.
It will. I'm curious to see how it goes. Like, I want them to win. Like, I think that would, because it gives people hope that in 1 year, You can go from, like Arizona State did, from the outhouse to the penthouse. In 1 year, you could flip the roster and get it done. And that keeps everyone really invested on a year-to-year basis.
A chance to go viral. Kenny Dillingham. Could you see him in the SEC one day?
Yeah, I could. I think Kenny's awesome. He runs hot. I mean, real hot. So I think – you think Muschamp ran hot?
Yeah.
Like, Dillingham runs hot.
I remember watching tape of him when he was at Memphis, and it was like warm-ups. And it was like, this guy's
intense.
insane.
Yeah, he's intense. So I think that in this league, like, the eyeballs are a little bit more critical. If he were to make a mistake like he did at the end of the BYU game, he would get absolutely destroyed in SEC territory. So it's good that he's at a place that he's an alumnus where they love him. Like, they're going to overlook some of the mistakes he might have made as a young head coach. And because they know that in time he's going to iron those things out and be a great coach down the road. So I think he's in a great spot. And I don't think he has any interest in leaving Tempe, because I think he knows that with the size of that undergraduate population, with the size and the scope of the university, the city itself, I think he knows there's a ton of upside there, and he might be the one that kind of break the code there for sure.
Would you do us a favor?
Yeah, buddy.
Next time you decide that you want to do something that absolutely just puts SEC Football Media Days up on side of its head, would you please let me and Landrum know? Got a little heads up.
Of course. What's funny is, like, you can tell people that are deliberately, like, trying to, like.
I mean, look at this right here. Like, it's already, like, you see this? Like, this the whole.
Where is that?
It's right around the corner.
Oh, he's here?
Yeah.
Let's go. I mean, it's unbelievable. You can tell people that, like, really try to go viral.
Yeah.
I don't think on one time in my entire life I've ever tried.
No.
It's just not my thing.
Just knowing you and your personality, yeah,
I don't care.
No.
Like, it stokes my curiosity, so I want to ask Paul. And Paul's pretty dialed in. And if Paul had heard something similar, I would think we would have gotten a great answer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like Paul's heard something similar.
No, I spoke to him as well. Yeah. But all right, Greg, we'll let you go, buddy.
Hey, Greg,
guys,
have
have fun.
Oh, it's great.
I love you guys.
Are
you guys all sharing a room? You, Conrad?
No, I've got my own private suite.
Yeah, Pat's
Really?
requested a rollaway bed. We're going to have it delivered.
Are you going to put it between the doubles?
No, I'm not anywhere near these clowns.
Y'all have a good rest of the day. We'll see y'all in a bit.
All right, thank you. That's Greg McElroy, who started this absolute avalanche in college football a couple hours ago on the SEC network, but it's a non-story. So we'll move on.
I'm not a clown.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Conrad's a clown.
Yeah. SEC Football Media Days rolls along from Atlanta, Georgia, here on Jox. We're back in Atlanta. This is Three-Man Front on Jox. Happy to be joined by Matt Moscona, ESPN Radio down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It has been a whirlwind over at his radio station just a couple minutes ago. You had Garrett Nussmeier. You had Brian Kelly. What's the vibe today for the LSU contingency?
Lot of positive feelings about this team. When you got a fifth-year senior quarterback in a league that a lot of the league is replacing starting quarterbacks, you feel like you have a leg up going in with that. The other part of it, too, is they went so heavy in the transfer portal to buy a roster capable of winning a national championship. I mean, there's no misgivings. That's what it is. It was a strange confluence of circumstance with Bryce Underwood's flip. It freed up a bunch of cash. You had a bunch of pissed-off boosters that were like, what do you need? And so they went in the portal and went ham to go fill every question mark with proven Power 5 transfers. And so much like Ole Miss did a year ago, Ohio State did a year ago, I mean, LSU did that this year. Now, will it translate to wins on the field? All that has to come together. But you're going to hear people say it's the most talented team Kelly's had in Baton Rouge, and it is. A lot of them are one-year mercenaries, but it's a talented team.
It's unfair to ask, Matt, because it was pre-NIL era. And I'm trying to think back to 2019, but I can remember Joe Burrow at SEC Media Days, and he had that swagger. But he was coming off that season. There was not a whole lot of the expectations. Can you draw any similarities to what you saw prior to that 2019 season of this team?
It's hard to remember pre-2019.
It is, right?
Because we all saw that season, and they were incredible. But you're right, Landrum. That one of the comments Joe made that got played over, and I don't know if it did everywhere, but it definitely did in Baton Rouge, was he kind of made this comment in passing where he said, I mean, I think we'll score 40, 50 points a game. And remember, that wasn't too far removed from Les Miles football. In 2018, LSU and Joe Burrow went the entire month of October in 2018 without a touchdown pass.
It's incredible.
They were great in the bowl game against UCF, and that was kind of the takeoff point. So to just brazenly go into media days and say, we're going to score 40, 50, everyone's like, who is it? The Ohio State kid who didn't throw a touchdown in October last year? But we saw what happened. This team's got all the talent. I mean, they got their leading returning receiver in Aaron Anderson. They brought Nick Anderson in from Oklahoma. Trey'Dez Green's a freak show at tight end. They got the 5-star number 1 running back in the country. There's talent everywhere. They just got to put it all together. Like, that's just the unknown. Like, you have all of these toys in the chest. How does it look when it comes together?
All right, I know we've got to get all put together to see how they operate as a unit. But if there was one area to you, Matt, the Achilles of what could be an early sign of a problem with this football team throughout the season, what would it be?
Yeah, I'll give you one on both sides of the ball. The offensive line's the easy one. So they're losing 4 starters, including Will Campbell, who was the number 4 pick in the draft. And it's very obvious to say you lose 4 starters on the offensive line, you're probably going to take a step back there. The problem is LSU was 104th in the country in rushing offense last year. That line was exceptional at pass blocking, but for 3 years, LSU could not run the ball. Jaden Daniels erased a lot of those mistakes because we all saw it. He was magnificent. Yeah. So it's been 3 years, though, where they've not been able to effectively have a traditional running game. They've tried to fix that. Braylon Morza was an all-ACC center at Virginia Tech. He's coming in. Josh Thompson was an all-Big Ten guard at Northwestern. He can play guard or tackle. DJ Chester, who's the only returning starter, played center last year as a more natural guard. He'll move to guard this year. So, I get when you say structural, okay, it looks like everybody's probably in the right seat on the bus. But again, they haven't played together. When those 5 have to play as one and they haven't done it, that's a legitimate concern. Defensively, it's safety. It was the worst safety play I've ever seen at LSU. I mean, this is a secondary that's had Eric Reed and Jamal Adams and Grant Delpit. I mean, amazing, and it was the worst I've ever seen it. They went in the portal, added 2 guys. A.J. Halsey was all Big 12 at Houston, led the country in interceptions. And they brought in Tamarcus Cooley, who was all ACC at NC State. So they went and bought dudes at every position where they need dudes.
Right.
It's just, can they all play together?
Quickly, in regards to that, before we move on to something else, I wanted to ask you, do you have a ballpark number of what LSU is paying for this roster this year? Ballpark.
North of 15 million. I would say between 15 and 20.
Okay.
And it's an interesting question, Pat, because there's like an NIL number and then there's a blended number.
Right.
Because you're talking about, for example, I'll use Bryce Underwood. Mm-hmm. So Bryce Underwood, his deal at Michigan was a $12 million deal, but that was $3 million per year over 4 years. So while it's $12 million, it's not $12 million this year. So like you look
on this year's salary cap, so to speak.
So it's and then sometimes things are front loaded. But so I know that's a big range, but you can conservatively say that it's north of 15 million and probably somewhere closer to 18 or 20 million
compared to last year.
Last year's roster was at $5.5 million.
Really?
It blows people away when I say that. LSU has been a super successful football program in the last quarter century. One of the elites, I think that's fair to say. But LSU does not have the depth and roster of mega boosters like a lot of places do. The advantage LSU has is the dirt. It is a talent-rich state that produces a ton of blue chippers, and LSU is the only Power 5. And most kids grow up wanting to go there. And so Will Campbell, you get Will Campbell because Will Campbell only ever wanted to play.
By the way, I love that guy. Watching him, the NFL draft is he just? He seems like he would just be a great guy to be around.
The stupid argument over like a quarter inch of his arm length. I'm like, thank God New England wasn't stupid and they drafted the best freaking offensive lineman. He's going to be incredible. But LSU was far behind in NIL. They are no longer far behind in NIL. And it was a combination of a lot of things that came together at the right moment. The money they had allocated for guys like Bryce Underwood and Jakeem Stewart that didn't come to LSU that they were able to dump into the portal. Pissed off boosters when they lost Bryce Underwood to go, okay, what do you need? Now it's time to write checks. A lot of things came together at the right time for them to be able to afford this roster and front load moving forward in the rev share era.
That is Matt Moscona. You can hear him weekday afternoons on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. Can you hang for a minute?
Yeah.
All right. We'll continue our conversation with Matt Moscona here live from SEC Media Days 2025. few more minutes with Matt Moscona, ESPN Radio down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, joining us here on Three Man Front, talking some LSU football. You were on a couple weeks ago with us and kind of laid out a scenario for the rest of the conference. Any change of thinking in regards to who you think is going to be in the conversation for the CFP from the Southeastern Conference?
I might have a different answer at the end of this week. So I love coming to this because it gives us all an opportunity to go deep on the schools we don't cover. Like, the way I've explained it is when we talk about this LSU portal class, I know all 18 guys LSU signed, how they're going to factor in. But if I went and polled everyone in this thing, like, do you know who Mansour Delane is?
Great point.
Do you guys know who Mansour Delane is?
No.
Right. And I don't think anybody here does.
Right.
He was a starting cornerback at Virginia Tech a year ago. He's LSU's best cornerback today. Like, I know that, but I don't think anybody else really knows that. But you come through a week like this and you get an opportunity, like I'll get to talk to you guys about Bama, about Auburn. I'll talk to the South Carolina guys because LSU plays Carolina and Baton Rouge this year. And I'll learn more about the teams that I maybe don't know. So I don't know that I can answer that question today, Pat, about if I feel any differently. I'll just tell you generally, I don't know that I believe Texas is – I think they have a good roster. I don't know that they're great, but I think the schedule favors them. And I'm also not just going to ordain Arch Manning. He's played 3 games. I got to see it. You can have all the physical ability, just what you're talking about with Nussmeier. Got to see it. I have real questions about Georgia. I mean, Georgia last year wasn't Georgia, and I don't think this roster, especially with the defensive freaks they've had, has those guys. And they have a question at quarterback. I certainly have a lot of questions about Ty Simpson at Alabama. So the top, which I think is perceived to be the top of the league, I think all have questions, which makes it maybe more wide open for a team. Tennessee was a playoff team a year ago. What are they without Nico? I don't know about the kid from
App State.
From UCLA who's coming in.
Yeah.
They basically switch quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to learning all those things this week, and I'll get a much clearer picture. But I always say when I'm doing my preseason poll or whatever, who has the fewest questions against the most manageable schedule.
Yeah.
So, I look for manageable schedules. Ole Miss has a really manageable schedule, but they return 4 starters. I don't know what the hell Ole Miss is going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be very good, but maybe it is because of that schedule. I think South Carolina could be really good, but they got a brutal schedule.
Same, yeah. And then Oklahoma. What's Oklahoma going to be?
Same thing.
There's so many question marks, and the transfer portal, that certainly kind of plays into that. Matt Moscona, ESPN Radio, there in Baton Rouge, talking LSU. A lot of people focus on that opener, and with good reason. The lack of success that Brian Kelly has had with those openers at Clemson. Clemson feels like this is probably their best shot that they've had in quite some time. Is it too much to say the outcome of that game? I mean, it's going to dictate a lot to you. It's going to dictate a lot maybe to me. I'm not saying they missed the college football playoff, but maybe what they can be.
Not really. I guess so. Landrum, I'm allergic to the phrase "must win" unless if it's a literal must win. Like if you don't win, your season's over.
Right.
The 5 straight openers, it sucks, and it is so maddening. And each in context has their own story behind it. Last year was the sort of unforgivable, and they were better than USC. They had that game won, and they blew it. You blew a 4th quarter lead. They should have won the game. 2 of them were under Orgeron, which with Bo Pelini and Durante Jones as the defensive coordinator. I mean, I get what happened there. I guess I look at the Clemson game and I go, you can lose that game, go 7-1 in conference, or 10-2, you're in the playoff.
Yeah.
And I think that is a possible path they can navigate. I don't feel great about going to Clemson. LSU's lost 5 straight openers. They got a 5th-year senior quarterback, a coach that's won 2 titles, maybe the best defensive front in college football against an offensive line, losing 4 starters. I mean, that's not a great way to go open the season. I'd rather open the season against App State in Baton Rouge. That would be a much better thing for LSU this year. But it's a schedule. I mean, they'll go play it. If it was in Baton Rouge, I might pick LSU. In Clemson, I'd probably pick Clemson to win. But I don't think that eliminates any possibility. In 2014, Ohio State lost their season opener to Virginia Tech at home, went on to win a national. Ohio State lost 2 games last year, won a national championship. So I just think we have to reframe the way we look at this in the playoff era.
We got about 2 minutes quickly, because I don't think we asked you this question before, but in regards to something that Brian Kelly said in Destin, Florida, about the potential of playing the Big Ten opponents, Where are you personally with the SEC? 8 games, 9 games? Does it matter in the college football playoff format? Which one does Matt Moscona endorse?
Never want to see a Power 5 play a G5 or FCS ever again. I am an elitist. I want 10, 11, 12 regular season games, whatever the number is, only against Power 5. Don't give me the garbage money grab games that are nothing more than a gate receipt and TV inventory and a rent-a-win. I have nobody. Do you wake up, Pat, and go, man, I can't wait to watch Alabama play
Mercer?
Texas Mercer?
No.
Are you jacked?
No.
Nobody is.
No, not at all.
What if you got to watch 12 awesome football games every Saturday for every? That's what I want.
Look at the interaction we have on a weekly basis for a game, just any other SEC opponent versus a Mercer.
Yeah.
From Alabama fans. It's
I'm
a week off.
I'm in the Landrum camp. Like, the COVID year was a fantastic year of SEC football.
Loved it.
10 games.
10
It was
games.
awesome. Give people what they want. And it used to be that way. Like, I can go back and look at non-conference schedules. Like, there was a year in the non-conference in, like, 86 where LSU played Ohio State, Miami, who am I missing? Anyway, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Like, that was your non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
Like, let's do that again and give people what they want. The problem is teams got afraid to lose. Well, let's build a postseason where you might lose a game.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because we're going to have a real, actual postseason where you're going to play it on the field, and if you're the best team, you're going to get a chance to go win.
That is Matt Moscona, one of our dear friends from ESPN Radio down in Baton Rouge. Always a pleasure, Matt.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks. That is Matt Moscona joining us here live on Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days as Brian Kelly and LSU, one of the 4 teams today here on location in Atlanta, Georgia. Always appreciate Matt and his thoughts on LSU.
He's the best. He's passionate and well-informed, and he's got his finger on the pulse of that LSU Tiger program. LSU, man, that's gonna be a fun team to watch. It's gonna be an exciting year in the SEC. I'm really excited because there's so many question marks.
And it's like he said, like depending on who you talk to around the league, like he has a completely different perspective on a couple of teams that we're high on. Not saying that he's right and we're wrong or vice versa, but that's what this week is about, is trying to get intel from these other schools.
And all I know is they've got a transfer cornerback from Virginia Tech that's the best on their roster now.
I've
the things
learned
you
that.
learn?
Yeah.
We continue. Welcome back in. We are live at SEC Media Days 2025. Landrum Roberts, that is Pat Smith, Conrad Van Order, a host of others. Molly Robinson anchoring things from the studio of Jox there in Birmingham. Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss head coach. He's going to be at the podium momentarily, and we will hear from him as well. How about our friends at Mandu in downtown Homewood? Mandu is electrical, muscle stimulation, fitness. I know that there's a lot of folks here from around different parts of the country, not just the South, that would love to have that boutique fitness, if you will. Electrical, muscle stimulation, fitness. What happens when you go into Mandu, your first visit is free. They put you in a suit. They hook you up to a machine that sends electric pulses to various muscle groups. They can tailor-make a program just for you, but the revolutionary approach, and because of all of that science and research, you know what that means? It's a 15-minute workout, and it's equal to 6 hours in a gym. You're going to get results. Mandu in downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jox sent you. Lane Kiffin, the Ole Miss head coach, I'm sure with plenty to say. He's at the podium.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Honored to be here. I don't take this for granted. There's only 16 of these spots that we get to hold and come up here, so I have a lot of appreciation for that. The Commissioner's been phenomenal. He just mentioned going into the 6th year, and he's been great to us. Keith Carter and Chancellor Boyce hiring us 5.5 years ago, and the Ole Miss fans in Oxford, and how, as he mentioned, a lot of personal things there, and how awesome it's been. It's really been an amazing 5 years, personally and professionally, there in Oxford, and I reflect on that like life, with so many good things of gains and losses, with my daughter Landry being there, and now Knox and Layla living there. Really is amazing. He mentioned, he kind of broke it all down, my brother and his 4 kids living there. It's really amazing. And then with some losses there of now losing both parents in the last year, has been very challenging. But just thinking on the way over here, about my mother, and how grateful I am to her, and it reminds me of coaches' wives, and to all coaches' wives in all levels, how you really are the glue that holds everything together in these families, with coaches like my dad that worked so much, and the moms doing everything at home. And so just really grateful to both my parents for that, and feel like, they spent a lot of years and spent a lot of time, taking us to a certain level. And I think when you're now experiencing that, which is strange, of losing both parents, that you're really the highest on the family tree now of what's left. And what that means about, they go next door, and I don't think they leave you. I think they go next door, and they allow you to go to the next level. And just coming off of, a couple days with family and with Chris's kids, and, whether that was dancing with my nieces at Morgan Wallen, or then yesterday out on the boat and seeing all the cousins playing with each other, and how proud my parents would be of that. And just really, really cool to see things through a different lens now, and awesome that there's so many Kiffins in Oxford to experience everything together. Where I think of our program, where we're at, and the last 4 seasons there, since COVID, and 3 of those 4 seasons with top 12 finishes. I believe in the last 55 years of Ole Miss, there's been 4 top 12 finishes. So 3 of those to be in the last 4 years, 1 in the previous 51 years, I think says a lot about what we've been able to do through the staff, through the players, through everybody involved, especially the leadership above me. Over that time, the 3rd most SEC wins of all 16 SEC teams. That's helped us tremendously. When we got there at Ole Miss, we had to sell to recruits, hey, when you come here, this is what it's going to look like. We're going to win. We're going to have 1st-round picks. We're going to have the most players drafted in school history. We're going to win 11 games in a season, win 21 games in the last 2 seasons. And so now that we've done that, we've seen that impact, whether that's in transfers coming in or high school kids, that they've been able to see that. And especially with Mississippi kids, to stay home, knowing that they can achieve and get all these things that maybe previously they needed to look to leave for. Okay, the 2025 team, I think we have a lot of really good players coming back. We added a lot through the portal, and it's been a very competitive offseason. I think that the groundwork of these last players over the last few years, what they've laid, what they taught the players has been very beneficial. Like we say in recruiting, you know, you get what you see with us. There's not fluff in recruiting. We don't put on this show, and then all of a sudden they get there and it's a different thing. And I think that that's really helped us over time for us not to have many kids that are playing leave and go into the portal, and for other kids to come to us because they know that. And a lot of that is to our culture and to our staff. So to be able to keep our entire staff from last year was very critical. That's not been the case a lot of times in our years at Ole Miss. We've had to replace a lot of really good coaches. I think we've done a good job of putting together this roster, working within this cap. You know, if you go back to retention of last year's players and then the portal guys in December, January, you know, we went into that operating under this cap because, you know, we were told the settlement was most likely going to get approved and how that would work. So, you know, we get a lot of questions like, what's it like now? Well, we've been operating, we have, under this cap guidelines of what was coming and what it was going to look like. So I think we've done a really good job of that. It obviously means you can't sign as many players as you'd like at times because you have a budget. So we're obviously hopeful that, you know, that'll be rewarded by doing that. I think it's obvious people aren't staying within that cap. So I think the whole thing will be what does that look like? And that's what we don't know. You know, what does it look like when you don't, and what are the punishments for that? Do you win and then that comes later? So that's remained to be seen, but I've already got the questions about the cap and what is that like now having to do that. We've been doing that for a while, operating on that. Very excited about this schedule coming up. You know, we play 9 games in Mississippi, so that's awesome for our fans. Basically, to have 9 home games is amazing, and for Oxford, to have that for the businesses there is great. So it'll be a very competitive schedule and a lot of work to do with all these new players in the meantime. So just appreciative to be here. Thanks for you guys coming out. And with that, questions.
Thank you, Coach Kiffin. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get Emma, Annie, or Nathan to you with a question. Coach, we're going to start over on our right-hand side, over here in the very front row.
Coach Kiffin, Terry Middleton from Horns Illustrated. Thank you, first of all, for highlighting your family. Football brings family and friends together. So I want to talk about friends. I also want to ask if you would help us highlight and enhance the rivalry between your 2 close friends, Sarkisian and Smart. Who do you think is going to take this field next year? Does Sarkisian have a chance over Georgia? And how can we look at it through your eyes?
Well, I think that's those are the 2 premier programs and premier coaches in college football, and so I think they do an amazing job. You know, having both of them, being at both of them at Alabama, and to see how they've used that, and then being with Sarkisian at USC as well, and how he's used Pete Carroll things and implemented there. I think they both do an amazing job, and really in those SEC meetings, you know, you're always listening to the coaches and their input. And I feel like both those guys really run their program truly as the CEO, and they know everything that's going on, and they're very creative in their ideas and how to navigate through this world we're in now. So I think they're both really good friends, really good people, and phenomenal coaches.
Coach, we'll go over to the other side, over to our left on the aisle, about midway back.
Jonathan Williams with the On Inside Network. You guys had some big wins last season, but still came up just short of the college football playoff. What is it to you that makes playing in the SEC a lot more difficult or more difficult than other conferences?
Well, I'm flying over here. I read the commissioner this morning and things that he said, and thought there was something in there interesting. We talked about the 9 games versus 8 games, and then people say, well, this conference plays 9 games, this plays 8 games. Well, I don't think there's anybody that would trade their 9 games and want to come play our 8 games that you play down here, and the places that you play down here. You guys that have covered the SEC for a while, you can have teams that aren't even having a really good year for them, but you got to go play at their place down here, and it's just different. So scheduling here in this conference and what you do week to week, and then the NFL draft shows that too. Those are the players you're playing against. And it's so balanced throughout the conference that every week you got to really show up. It's really like the NFL. And I don't feel like that is the case in these other conferences, or a really good conference similar to us that's top heavy but doesn't have the middle and bottom the way that we do.
It's Lane Kiffin there from the podium live here, SEC Media Days 2025, and those 9 games there in the state of Mississippi. If maybe you're an Ole Miss fan, you're in the Birmingham area, you're looking to drive over to Oxford a lot this fall, you can check out our friends at Dobbs Ford. Check out one of those F-150s, the Mustangs, the Broncos Sports, maybe an Expedition, and travel in style. And right now, Dobbs has got the Ford employee pricing. Right now, you can pay with the Ford employees pay 90 days until your first payment. Alabama's largest showroom selection. They will meet and beat any competitor's price. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. And don't forget about the mobile service. They will come to your house, your place of business, work on multiple cars at a time if you need it. Things like tire changes, rotations, oil changes, brakes. They can handle all of that stuff. Just another great service that Dobbs provides. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. That's the website. The Goshens, the managing partners. Make sure you tell them Landrum from Jox sent you.
We are hoped to be joined in just a couple of minutes by former Alabama running back Damen Harris, who now does work for CBS Sports. We hope to talk to him about Kalen DeBoer, year number 2, and what's the expectations from this former Alabama player who was very critical last year of Kalen DeBoer in season number 1. That's all next. We're live from SEC Football Media Days right here on Jox. Oh, it's been a great first day of the SEC football media days here in Atlanta, Georgia. From the college football playoff, appreciate Gary Stoken joining the program in hour number 1. We talked to Eevee Vanpelt from the Rebel Walk, also Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we hope to
Greg McElroy.
Who?
Greg McElroy, flamethrower.
Oh, the guy that started the whole kerfuffle this morning.
I think people just took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
Kind of like our next guest.
We hope to catch up with Damen Harris, the former Alabama running back. He's wrapping up an interview on CBS Sports, so hope to catch up with him in a couple of moments. If you missed any of our interviews, you can go check those out at the 3-Man Front site on joxfm.com. Take us along wherever you go. I was listening to our affiliates heading down to the beach, and I was actually on the beach throwing the baseball with Dylan on the beach, and I was listening to you guys on Friday on the Jox 94.5 app. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com.
All right, so the National League batting order has been released. Shohei Ohtani is batting leadoff for the National League. Ronald Acuna Jr. is batting second. Marte from the Diamondbacks, he's batting third. Freddie Freeman, cleanup. Manny Machado, third baseman, next. Will Smith at catcher. Kyle Tucker in right field. Francisco Lindor, man, all the way down to the 7th spot. PCA. Yep, PCA.
Love that guy.
He is batting 8th, and, of course, Paul PCA is batting 9th because Paul Skeens is not batting. But
it just means more Paul. Get it done.
So what do you think? Acuna batting second, not leadoff? Should
not
let a Shohei Ohtani.
Well, if MLB had their way, they would. He would hit 9 times in a row. It's hard. I talk louder than all of our guests, I suppose.
You do.
You just have a lot to say.
Will you say that
That's
again?
right. About Ohtani?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just saying if MLB had their way, I'm sure he would hit 1 through 9. And they would love that. And pitch.
Yeah.
That'd be great. He's the Travis Hunter of baseball, right, Landrum?
Yes, he is. He absolutely is.
Who's better, Travis Hunter or Shohei Ohtani?
I would say that. I mean, do we know? Can Travis? I don't doubt that Travis Hunter can play leadoff in a mean center field and probably third base at the same time.
Who would do
maybe
better
come in
other
relief?
sport? So you think Travis Hunter would be a better baseball player than Ohtani would be a football player?
Oh, no doubt. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's familiarity.
So I guess we didn't get our tickets to the Home Run Derby.
I guess we didn't.
I thought I was going to be shagging fly balls.
Maybe somebody can come in and drop one of those $270 to stand amongst thousands of sweaty, hot people in general admission. That'd be great. I would now hanging out at the Battery. That'd be fun. It'd be fun to go in. But yeah, that's going to be a fun time for a lot of people.
So do you all agree? Because a lot of the stuff I've seen today, a lot of people are actually picking Matt Olson to win. Obviously, the home crowd thing, but he's the one that's the most used to this heat and humidity and going out there, and so he may be able to handle it better than some of the other players because it's toasty.
Yeah, and him being the late ad and getting to fill in for
no pressure.
Ronald Acuna. Yeah. It's a Georgia kid.
And Matt Olson's done the Derby before, correct?
I would think he has. I'm not sure if he has or not. His mom makes him Rice Krispie treats, and that usually helps the team. So, yeah, look, just don't get hurt. Just don't get hurt. But I mean, I don't want him to get hurt, but by all accounts, the season's over for the Braves as far as the postseason. We're going to have to play the second half of the schedule, but don't need any more injuries for sure.
No. We're happy to be joined here on set. Outstanding running back at the University of Alabama. You can now check his work out at the CBS Sports Network, CBS Sports HQ. Damien Harris joins us here on Three Man Front on Jox in Birmingham. Damien, how are you? Hope you're well.
I am great. I am blessed. I couldn't be any better, honestly. How you guys doing? And thank you guys for having me.
Oh, no, listen, the pleasure's all ours. So it's interesting because you've been doing this media thing now for over a year since you got out of the pros. Your thoughts on being on this side of the microphone as opposed to being asked those questions?
It's very interesting, and I absolutely have a extended level of respect for people who do this job. And I remember when I was in my playing days, when I was in college, high school, the NFL, every opportunity I got to do media, I always looked at it not only as a job opportunity, but an opportunity for me to, again, extend the level of respect. So just like people who would interview me and respect me for my craft and respect what I did on the football field, I respected them when they asked me tough questions. Whenever they would try to make me uncomfortable, when they would ask me about a bad play that I had during a game, I wanted to look them straight in their eyes, give good body language, appreciate the fact that they were willing to ask me that, and then give them a clear, thought-out response, because I learned something. Not only am I trying to get to where I want to go because I have a family to feed, because I want to put clothes on my kids' back and a roof over my own head, but the people on the other side of the microphone, they have this same exact purpose in life. So there's a narrative, you know, when you play that the media is not your friend. And I would agree with that to a degree, but that doesn't mean the media is here to always make you the bad guy or to always speak about you in a negative light. And then now that I'm in this profession, I respect it even more because I see people in this industry that, for lack of better words, don't necessarily just tell it how it is. Sometimes there's an objective behind what they say, or they're trying to appeal to a certain demographic or a certain fan base. But as somebody like myself, I pride myself in every time I'm in front of a camera, every time I'm talking about something, that is my truth. That is what I feel. That is what I believe. That's what I see with my own two eyes. I compare that with what I have experienced, and then I can go out and give an opinion on something, and then be confident in that. And the respect level continues to just evolve over time. So I'm truly just very grateful to have been able to make the transition, but also still be around the game that I love so much and have such a deep respect for it.
And Damien, whether it's a podcast or radio show like ours or just a media opportunity, we see it from time to time, and not necessarily an SEC player, but you'll see a young player make a comment, and you kind of cringe, and you go, no one coached him up, no one talked to him. Pull the curtain back. Your time in Tuscaloosa. What did those conversations look like with guys like yourself, or maybe not you, some of your teammates, and just saying, hey, just don't give them any more than you need to give them?
Well, I know everybody's heard of the rat poison conversation a million times, so I won't even deep dive into that. But I remember Coach Saban used to say something, and he would tell us, people are going to say your name, and then after they say your name, they're either going to say and or they're going to say but. So they're going to say Damien Harris is a great football player, and he's very respectful to the media, and he's mindful about the information that he puts out, and he's mindful about not, giving the opponent extra fuel to the fire whenever they're ready to face me. Or they're going to say Damien Harris is a great football player, but he runs his mouth too much. But he's given away too much information. He's not keeping things close to chest. So that was an important thought in my mind early on. And then as far as training went, every year during training camp, he would have a professional, like a team, a PR team come in, and we would just get a seminar to where we just sat and we listened. It was almost like a workshop. Like, you hear guys in the NFL, they go through broadcast boot camp whenever they want to become members of the media. But implementing that training for us young kids while we were in college, that serves so much purpose, because as young kids that, all we care about is football. We're just like, man, coach, please just let us go out and practice, let us go out and play. And he's sitting there taking the time to not only teach us, but teach us why he's teaching us. Then it just makes it so much easier to be like, oh, okay, so that's what you mean about the rat poison. That's what you mean about, because, don't get me wrong, sometimes kids confuse being confident and, wanting to exude that confidence. They confuse that with being cocky or with being arrogant. And it's just like a fine line. But, again, whenever you start to implement and teach, and you have people come in, professionals who are the top dogs of their industry come in and teach us, that kind of stuff sticks with us, especially because Nick Saban himself just told me somebody's either going to say and or but. You need to make sure they're going to say and. Now I'm going to bring in this nice lady who is at the top of the PR world who can help you make sure that people always say and after your name and not but.
That's good.
Damien, can you hold for just wonderful? We're going to continue our conversation with Damien Harris, get his thoughts on the 2025 season, especially the one expected in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Damien Harris, former Alabama running back, now CBS Sports HQ, joins us next on Three Man Front. I bet you Damien Harris remembers this song a few times.
You know,
and Bryant Denny.
It makes me think back to my senior year, and they had gotten rid of Dixieland Delight for a little while.
Tried to clean it up.
They tried to clean it up, yeah. The kids couldn't do it on their own, so they went away from it a little bit. But there was myself, Miss Terry, Greg Byrne, the AD, and I think it was Connor McGeifert. If he's listening, I hope I didn't butcher his name, but he was the SGA president at the time. The four of us got together, and we were like, how are we going to bring this thing back? Because as great as Alabama football is, it is nothing without Dixieland Delight. And we got together. We put together a plan. We called it Dixieland Delight Done Right. And I remember, who were we playing? It might have been Arkansas. No. It was some team. We were playing them for homecoming, and honestly, I can't remember who it is because all I remember is when they finally brought back out Dixieland Delight, I felt like I was in a movie.
Would you guys sing it on the sideline?
What? Would we?
Yeah.
Come on. Every word.
Yeah?
Every word. Every single word.
Yeah.
But then you look behind you and you see a 3-year-old doing the same thing, and you're like, oh. Whoa. Am I being a good example right now? Yes and no. I don't know. But thank God it got brought back.
All right, so you made some headlines last year. You had some comments.
A few.
Some pointed comments about season number 1 for Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama football program. As the season concluded, a 9-4 mark. What was your general assessment of that year 1 under Kalen DeBoer?
It wasn't good enough. And I say that from the standpoint not comparing them to previous Alabama teams, not comparing them to any team that I was a part of. I just looked on tape and I watched football that was not good football. Obviously, we witnessed quarterback play that was inconsistent. At times it was great. At times it wasn't good. That's not the sign of a good football team that has inconsistent quarterback play. We saw a team that had really good running backs. Jam Miller averaged close to 9 yards per carry at the start of the season, and then they abandoned the run game, and they became one-dimensional. And when you don't necessarily have consistent quarterback play and then you don't commit to the run, when you have good running backs, well, that's not the sign of a good team. Then I look on the defensive side of the ball. We see a defensive front that's not stopping the run very well, giving up points to teams who aren't necessarily known for scoring a ton of points. I mean, Oklahoma was the biggest glaring obvious for me. You know, granted they had some points on defense, but at the end of the day, I think you get the picture. Mm-hmm. I just looked on tape and I watched bad football at times. Unfortunately, it had to be a football team that wore a script A that I happened to get a degree from and win 2 national championships with. But all that being said is it could have been any team. If I saw what I saw, I would have said the same exact things. Now, I think where people get a little bit confused is I do get more passionate when I talk about Alabama because of all the things that I just mentioned. I'm a graduate of there. I'm an alum. I won there. We did a lot of things. So that, I would say, gives me an uptick in passion. But let's not muddy the lines here and act like this is something personal. I'm just assessing what I'm seeing because that's my job.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of things that Alabama did really, really well last year. The thing that I've learned from not only just playing but being a member of this media is when you do what you're supposed to do, that's not what gets talked about. When you do the things that you're not supposed to do, that is what gets talked about. So that's essentially all my comments, remarks, anything that I said about Alabama was last year. Like, yeah, I'm going to give you your praise whenever you play well, but I'm still going to say it as in a way that alludes to that's what you were supposed to do.
Damen Harris joining us here on 3-Man Front Live from our coverage of 2025 SEC Media Days. I hear this from former coaches, and I've heard it from some active coaches. Now with NIL and some of the money that's going around, this is not Alabama specific. This is just college football as a whole. Weekly buy-in. Mm-hmm. Now that these guys have got a little change in their pocket. Some of them got a lot of change in their pocket and a portfolio. Mm-hmm. How much of that is a real thing in getting that buy-in that you know that you're getting that buy-in each and every week?
Well, I can say it's absolutely different from when I was in school and when I was playing. And I don't even think that it's centered around the NIL piece. I don't think it's centered around the transfer portal piece. But I think when you combine the two, essentially what you're doing is giving kids not only microwave financial success, but you're also giving them the freedom to dictate where they want to go, how much money they think they're worth, and they're going to charge another school essentially to hop in the transfer portal and go. What that creates is power. It's not necessarily about the money. It's not necessarily about the freedom. It's about the power when you combine the two. So with that, yes, buy-in is definitely something that you have to worry about because you might have your second string running back who is a phenomenal player. You just can't fit him in the rotation as much as you want. But there is going to be a time when you need him. But you're like, okay, well, is this guy locked in today? Because we know we haven't been giving him the reps that he wanted. Granted, his opportunity is coming, but he's not being very patient right now. He's looking at maybe exercising the right to hit the portal, earn a couple bucks somewhere else, get more playing time, that microwave success. That once you inject that with one player into a culture, then you've got to worry about everybody, because then you got to worry about even the starters who maybe they're just sitting here like, well, I'm playing at a really high level, and yeah, they paid me my money, but I want a little bit more. You know, that's what all of this has created, and that's why I think, people ask me all the time, why are they allowing NIL to continue? Well, NIL is not the problem. Okay, well, the transfer portal. Well, when you single that out, it's not necessarily the problem either. But when you combine it, imagine, like, just as you guys are sitting here in front of me, imagine being 19, 20 years old. You can sign anywhere you want for $3 million, and then just to turn around and go somewhere else for another $4 million. I mean, you guys would be happier than a punk in Boys Town.
Oh, absolutely.
18-year-old me with $100,000, Damien.
But that's why none of this falls on the kids. Like, I truly believe that. I just don't necessarily think they are set up in the best position to handle these responsibilities, to be accountable, to do all the things like buying in each and every week. Because, again, we're telling these kids, you guys aren't even professionals. You guys aren't pros. Like, pros, they have to do. They're under contract for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of money, and that's it. So pros approach it differently. That's why they are pros. But these kids, man, they've got a lot of power. They've got a lot of notoriety. They're brands now. Like, I remember back when I was in school, Coach Saban used to talk about creating your own brand, and with the things that he taught us, and like, this is how you build a brand. These kids are brands coming out of high school now. Yeah. Bryce Underwood, perfect example, getting all this guaranteed money. He hasn't even played it down yet. So when you give these kids all of these things, like, you're going to create a monster.
All right, got to ask you about your anticipation for this year number 2 under Kalen DeBoer, this Alabama team. Can they get back to the college football playoff based on the information, the people you talk to, and the schedule of this year's Tide?
Well, when you look at college football as a whole, you couldn't name me 2 teams that you're like, these are absolutely the 2 teams to beat in college football. So with that being said, this is an even playing field for everybody. Alabama has the benefit of the fact that there are not those top dogs. And granted, we can look at Ohio State and what they just did and assume that they're going to be pretty good. Same with the Texas. Those are the 2 teams that come to mind. But Arch Manning's never been a starter. He's never been a guy who teams had to the entire offseason to game plan against. So this is anybody's competition. With that being said, that creates nothing but opportunity for Kalen DeBoer, for Ty Simpson, for Keelan Russell, for Jam Miller, for Ryan Williams, for LT Overton, for every single player on this team, everybody that's a part of this program. They have nothing but opportunity in front of them. And I'll even say this. I'll even allude to something that rappers say all the time. You took some L's last season. Last season's over. They're no longer losses. Now they become lessons. You take what you learned from last season, whether it was from a coaching standpoint, whether it was from a playing standpoint, whether it was from a foundational standpoint, because there were reports coming out that guys might be late to meeting, guys might not be all the way locked in. If you can learn from every single lesson and see with your eyes and seize with your actions the opportunity that's in front of you, if they do that, Alabama will be just fine.
When you look at the SEC as a whole, and you mentioned the question marks, and you're absolutely right, there's question marks about every single team. I mean, Georgia's not the same Georgia that we used to look at. Everybody's talking about Texas, but you still got questions, right?
Lost a lot of talent.
Who would be that team when you look at what they have returning that you say, I got a lot of questions, but if things come together, I could see this team making one of those dark horse, quote unquote, kind of runs that we never saw coming?
For me, it would be South Carolina. Absolutely South Carolina. One, because of the way that they finished their season last year, but they definitely lost a lot of NFL talent. Don't get me wrong. When I look at South Carolina, they have the potential to have the best player on offense in the SEC in Lenore Sellers, and the best player on defense in Dylan Stewart on defense. So if you can build on what you did last year, which they just narrowly missed the college football playoff. One team, one game differently, they're in. You build on that. Lenore Sellers takes that jump, which we all know what he can do with his legs. But once we see that arm talent match up with the talent he has with his legs, we see Dylan Stewart take a massive jump, which is going to be hard for him because last year, if you remember, he was playing with Kyle Kennard, who led the team in sacks. So now a lot more attention is going to be on him. But, again, just think about this. Having the best player on offense, best player on defense in the entire SEC, that can cover up a lot of holes that you might have in other areas. So I would have to look at South Carolina as a team that if they put the pieces together, if their superstars truly become superstars, they've got a real shot at being the dark horse in this year's college football playoff.
That is Damen Harris, just an outstanding conversation. Damien, hopefully we can catch up with you during the college football season. Everybody in the great state of Alabama loves hearing from you, the former great in Alabama running back, and, of course, championship-level running back, also in the NFL now, CBS Sports.
And a father of soon-to-be, too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time.
That is Damen Harris, the former Alabama star, and, of course, CBS Sports HQ. We'll wrap things up here from Atlanta. This is Three-Man Front on Jox. It is 1:46 back in the Magic City and across the great state of Alabama. We're live on the Eastern Time Zone. Feels like we've been up for a minute.
Feels like we've been in this building since yesterday.
This is day one of SEC Football Media Days. Appreciate everybody joining us today. That was a great conversation with Damien Harris, the former Alabama running back, a very well-spoken, intelligent, great football player.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can stay up to date with him during the college football season. Now, tomorrow is probably – it's safe to say that tomorrow is going to probably be the best of the 4 days in regards to – you want to talk about star power? How about Auburn? How about Georgia? Tennessee? Oh, and by the way, that guy named Arch Manning in the Texas Longhorns. So that is going to be a very busy and interesting day, to say the very least. We started out with Greg Sankey. We had Brian Kelly. We had Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin, Clark Lee, Diego Pavia, and Conrad almost got into it here at the College Football Hall of Fame. It's been a very eventful day one.
It has. I did not know that there was so much disdain from Conrad towards Diego Pavia, but you're right, Pat. It was uncomfortable as Diego was just 3.5 yards away, and Conrad starts throwing shots.
Well, he was staring me down.
Well,
he was giving me that look, like it was time to go.
Hopefully he's staring down wide receivers this year inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Hopefully he is not.
Well, no, staring them down. If you're staring them down, that means it's easier for the defensive back.
Yeah, okay. Read the eyes.
Play along, Conrad.
I'm sorry. I'm still in a tizzy from Damien Harris.
So would you say today, in the order of which they appeared, LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, that is the order that those teams finish?
No.
I'll take Ole Miss over South Carolina.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting what Damien Harris said, though, about that South Carolina team. And I feel like South Carolina might be the most polarizing team in the league this year.
People either
as far
love them or
their ceiling's really high, but their floor is what you would expect from most South Carolina teams from our past.
You know, there's so many different storylines that we, over the course of the next few weeks, we will dive into. And if you look at certain programs, if they do not live up to the season of expectation, it is going to make for some really compelling radio. And I'm talking about the likes of, what if LSU does not win that first game? What if LSU, because, and no offense to Matt, I would say it if Matt was sitting here, everybody in the state of Louisiana, they are bought in on this football team because they have spent a lot of money and they have gone after those 18 transfer portal guys, and they believe that all 18 of those guys are going to be able to propel them into the college football playoff and potentially a run for the national championship. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But as we know, in the old days with junior college transfers and now with the transfer portal, see Ole Miss last year.
Ask Lane Kiffin.
There's a lot of things that have to go right in regards to put yourself in that program in a position to be as good as you temporarily think they are at this moment. And that's where the jury's out with them. But Matt did not have – he didn't think Ole Miss is going to be good.
Well, I go back to, and there's two trains of thought, and you're exactly right. The 18 guys that you go and get. Now, I can play the other side of the coin and say, well, Alabama didn't have to go and get 18. They felt good about the 18 at whatever particular position they had, about that retention, that continuity, and that carryover, which is not always the case, and guys knowing each other and playing together in that comfort level. And there's other teams like Auburn and investing. What does that look like for Hugh Freeze and the Tigers and a lot of those guys in year 3 in the same system and kind of knowing the landscape? But it could all come together.
Sure.
Sure, but that schedule is certainly not easy, and it all starts in Clemson, and that's why you're right. That opener against Clemson, while you don't ever say it's a must-win, I think for LSU to go in there and they win, look out. Katie bar the door. If they lose, then there's probably a lot more question marks, and then you start hearing the groans of, well, is Brian Kelly ever going to get it done? Because they still have a tough game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. They still have to travel to Oxford, Mississippi. They've got a lot of games on that slate that are going to be challenging.
So you got the LSU situation, the 18 transfers, Brian Kelly not winning a first game. Can LSU get back into the upper tier of the SEC, play for a college football playoff? You've got year 2 with Kalen DeBoer. We talk about the pressure that he's undergoing every single day on this show. don't forget about what's going on the plains of Auburn.
No.
What's happening with Hugh Freeze. Lane Kiffin took some more veil shots today about Hugh Freeze's golf game. That's going to be, obviously something that probably Hugh Freeze will address tomorrow and probably, say the same thing he said at Ambush and other places in regards to his golf game and what he and his wife like to do in regards to playing golf when a hard day's work is done and things of that nature. So that's another angle of pressure that you're going to see ramped up, and there's the 3 big-name programs in the SEC with LSU, Bama, and Auburn.
And what about storyline in Tennessee? Oh, yeah, by the way, you thought up until your spring game that you had a guy named Nico Iamaleava coming back for another year in the system. So who's going to shoulder the blame if things start going south in Knoxville? Billy Napier at Florida. Just a year ago, we had moving signs in the yard. We've contacted the realtor, and we're trying to find him a place to go and hang out until he got his next gig. Brett Venables, they're at Oklahoma. You got a quarterback coming in, and Oklahoma fans are fired up. But what does OU decide to do if he turns out a 7-5 season? Texas A&M, what's expected of this is a whole lot of fun having it shape up this way, where we're not talking about, as Damen Harris or whoever joined us mentioned, those 2 clear-cut teams in the SEC that everybody said, well, hands down, they're going to be playing in Atlanta. I don't think we have those teams yet.
Yeah, and that's one thing, and I agree with Matt. I mean, when you were here, this is kind of like a conclave, a convention in regards to SEC media, and you have an opportunity to sit down. I mean, last night when we came in after the movie premiere of Nothing But a Winner, which will be in theaters later this month throughout the state of Alabama. Outstanding film that we were able to premiere last night. We were the first group to see this.
First human beings to see the completed project.
Absolutely, and we were very honored to be a part of that last night. But we came in late, and we were able to run into our good friend Ty Richardson. He was down at the restaurant in the hotel along with Tyler McComas from Oklahoma City. And we just sat around talking ball. And that's when you really start educating yourself. It's not so much what's in Phil Still's magazine or Lindy's or Athlon's. It's when you're actually, breaking bread with the people that cover these teams on a daily basis. It gives you a really good perspective of what they're anticipating, what the fan bases are anticipating. And despite whatever you read or how many 5 stars they got in recruiting, it's about the product on the field, and that's where we learn the most when we come to SEC Media Days.
Yeah, and a lot of them, they hear stuff maybe behind the scenes that they don't go with on their particular shows, but you kind of share with one another and some of the underlying question
good
marks.
off-the-record conversations.
Yeah, good off-the-record conversations, and kind of gives you an idea of things to look for, especially early in the season, that a lot of times will dictate how well or how bad a team's going to be.
Well, we appreciate everybody joining us today here on Jox 3-Man Front. We'll be back here, of course, tomorrow morning. You can catch Conrad and Damien starting the coverage at 6 a.m., Mac and Cube, and then Landry and myself, Conrad and Molly, will be back with you from 10 until 2. Day 2 will feature the likes of the Auburn Tigers, Georgia Bulldogs, Tennessee Volunteers, and the Texas Longhorns. It is going to be a great, fantastic Day 2 of SEC Football Media Days.
It is. Thanks for joining us. God is great as we continue our coverage. 2025 SEC Media Days here in Hotlanta.